Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, a stand-up comedy podcast based in Greenville, South Carolina. My name's David Bakker. It's the week of January 30th, 2023. Hope you're having a good start to your Monday. I am recording this on Friday night. Just got done with a show at Palmetto Distillery. It was fun. It was Shelly Belly's crowd. Southern as ever. I don't think they liked me as much as they liked her, but that's okay. It was a blast. And I'm so excited right now. I am actually going to be, when this comes out, it'll be over. But tomorrow, I'm going to watch Louis C.K. at Madison Square Garden, the finale of his tour. Gosh, I'm so excited. I am very excited. I'm going to go with my dad. So I will let you know next week how it was. But anyway, hope you guys are going to you guys are going to have a great week. We have another great week of comedy and another great guest. My guest today, Amanda Neal. Amanda is, how is Amanda? Amanda is, she's very sweet, but also very honest. And she is she just radiates a lot of positive energy. Bubbly, infectious, very likable on stage, very personable, and didn't even get nervous. First time I saw her, she just, she's got a spark. I like her because she keeps me on track. She'll call me out when I'm acting like a misogynist idiot or just doing stupid stuff. And we had a really good conversation. She is originally from Charlotte, and she moved here I forget how many years ago. A few years ago. We talked about that in the interview. She works at Railside Studios here in Greenville. She runs their social media. She also owns a spa within Railside Studios called Fortified Wellness Studio. You should definitely check her out. She also runs a book club. She's got tons of hobbies. She is a boss. In this interview, we went for a while. We went for 2.5 hours. Buckle up. The whole thing's good. Stay for the whole thing. We talk about women's cycles in a book called Code Red. I learned a lot. I don't know a lot about women's cycles, so we argue about, or not argue. I try to convince Amanda that sports ball is fun and cool. Amanda shares her journey to Greenville and what got her on stage, how she moved from Charlotte to Anderson. She talks about growth through past relationships, the importance of figuring yourself out, and the passion of your life, and positivity, good vibes, all that. Amanda's a great person to have a conversation with. I'm so happy she did the show. Check her out on stage and follow all of her stuff linked below. She's great. All right, before we get to the interview, though, here's what's going on this week in local comedy, the week of January 30th, 2023. Tonight, Coffee Underground and No Expectations Comedy. That's a 7 o'clock show. Comics sign up at 6:30. Travis Thubbin, Craig Holcomb. On Tuesday, we have Sharky's Pub, 8 o'clock. Comics sign up at 7 with hosts Cassandra Jane, Callie Passafume, or Amelia Nelson. Also on Tuesday, we have the Art Bar in Columbia, hosted by Patrick Fowler. That's an 8:30 show. Also on Tuesday, we have The Odd in Asheville, hosted by James Harrod. That's a 9 o'clock show. On Wednesday, we have The Radio Room, hosted by Adam Schulte, 8:30 show. Also on Wednesday, we have Tom Emmons, Swamp Rabbit Comedy, open mic at the VFW Post 9273 in Piedmont. Also on Wednesday, we have The Disclaimer open mic in Asheville, 8 o'clock show, hosted by Carrie Goff. Thursday, we have Jokes Out Loud at the Comedy Zone, 8 o'clock show, hosted by Brandon Rainwater. On Friday, we have a show at the Oconee Community Theater, 8 p.m. show. Ryan Rubin, Dante Anderson, Ken Wood, and Scooter Fowler, $8 at the door. Check them out. That'll be a fun show. All jokes aside, at Habiba's, that's hosted by Dante. I don't know if it's happening this week because Dante, I just said, is on that other show. It may be canceled. Double check that one. If it happens, it's at 9. This weekend at the Comedy Zone, Arnez J. Very funny dude. He's got two shows on Friday the 3rd, February 3rd at 7 and 9. 2 shows on Saturday at 6 and 9, and 1 show on Sunday at 6 p.m. Tickets available at greenvillecomedyzone.com. All right, that's it for local comedy. Hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope you enjoy my interview with Amanda Neal. Here it is. Amanda Neal. Hello.
Is this it?
Oh, yeah, it's going.
We're starting now?
Uh-huh.
It's happening?
Yeah.
Hey, David.
Hi.
Let's pretend like we haven't been in your house for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we haven't just been talking for
Perfect.
20 minutes, wasting
Nothing is new to me at all. This is all, we're comfortable.
We're comfortable.
We're comfortable.
We're good. And this is Friday night at
Friday night.
7:40 something.
Yep.
So
Thank you for having me.
You're
I'm
welcome.
so grateful.
No,
The first time I ever met you, I told you I would love to come on your podcast.
Yeah. Well, when was the first time?
That's when you were telling a joke on how you hit on ladies.
Yeah. I don't do this joke anymore.
It's probably good.
Yeah, that was not
Do people remember this joke?
I don't know. The
Oh.
joke. What was the joke? The joke
was,
I tell girls I'm a comedian and I have a podcast.
Do you want to come on
Do you
my
want to come on my?
podcast?
And it's a nickname for my wiener.
That's my dick.
What?
I
What a genius joke.
Sure. I think I broke your brain that night, though. Because then you immediately were like, is this your mom?
You may have been the impetus for me never saying that again. And
Oh, my God. Thank you so much.
Until now.
Perfect.
You're you help course correct my
Good. Well, listen.
problematic behavior.
I tend to have that effect on men.
That's good.
It is. Yeah.
That's good. And I'm glad we have another girl on. We haven't had a girl on in a minute.
Oh, man. I'm so glad I'm a girl.
For some reason,
Yeah.
there are fewer girls in comedy, but you're a very fresh face in comedy.
Yeah, I'm pretty fresh to death. Yeah. I'm digging it. I'm having fun. I've been wanting to do this for a really long time.
When was the first time we met? Do you remember that specific? Because I feel like I remember you from, you were always friends with Aaron.
Yeah.
And at the shows,
Correct.
I remember that was one of the early
That's where my
times.
studio is, too.
Okay.
So that's how I knew about the shows.
Right.
Because I work at Railside Studios, too.
Railside Studios. You want to
Railside
give a shout out
Studios.
to Railside Studios?
I mean, you can. I run their social media. I also own a spa within Railside Studios. It's called Fortified Wellness Studio,
Awesome.
where Aaron also works.
Yes.
He is a massage therapist.
Not everybody wants to shout out their place of work, so I like to ask. But
yeah, maybe edit this out.
You know what?
Just kidding.
Well, depending on how the rest of the conversation goes,
But you can edit out.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
you don't want to shout out. Dude,
Stop.
I hate art. I
Yeah.
for one think art.
I can
is
tell
really...
it's only shrines to David in here.
No, it's
So-
not. That's a lie. These
I'm
are.
just kidding. But for real,
Well.
we're gonna have to edit out all that incuate stuff.
We are.
Yeah.
Oh, why? We can't spend. Okay, we won't mention. There's a nondescript show that I met you at.
Yeah, we met at that show at Railside Studios,
At Railside Studios.
where my studio is also at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I knew about it. But no, Aaron had been doing comedy.
This is Aaron Quillen, former guest of the show.
Yeah, Blind Aaron.
Blind Aaron.
Yep. Yeah, Aaron started doing comedy. The first time I ever went to a comedy show was at Radio Room. And Tesla was also doing comedy at that time.
Tesla, Saint Suck a D.
Both of my employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And I don't like the term employees. They're like, we just all work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just,
You don't.
I
you
just
think
happen to pay them.
You think it's a term that's like subjugating?
It's just like, they're more than my employees.
I'm with you.
It's like, I don't know. It's like you get to hang out with your friends at work all day and
Mm-hmm.
create a beautiful healing environment.
That's
for
great.
everyone.
I think you're probably a very good boss then, if that's your
I
outlook.
doubt it, because I'm like, hey, it's 2:30. Y'all trying to get fucked up on a Tuesday?
No, that is a good boss.
No, and so Aaron started doing comedy, and I was like, I'm gonna go out and see it. And then Tesla was doing comedy too, and I had been writing comedy since 2017.
Really?
Yeah, so I had been writing for a while, and I've always, like, a dream of mine was to do. I wanted to be a stand-up. No, I wanted to do Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
My whole life, I was like, I want to be an actor.
So where did that dream start? Are you like a child of the 90s like me, where
Oh, absolutely.
SNL 90s is
Oh,
kind of
well, even throwing it way back in Living Color.
In Living Color?
Oh my God! Do
I
you
recently
remember?
discovered. I never watched In Living Color, but I've gone down the YouTube rabbit hole so far that I
Wayans
discovered.
Brothers.
The Wayans brothers.
Jamie Foxx, Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Jim Carrey clips.
Jennifer Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fire Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Let me tell you something.
Dude,
Yeah.
have you seen Liar Liar?
I have. Yes, absolutely.
Do you know there's a like Easter egg in there where in the last scene, Jim Carrey is also Fire Marshal Bill in the background?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the last scene when Jim Carrey's on the stretcher after he like falls off the airplane stairs. And the firemen and everybody's Fire Marshal Jim Carrey dresses up as Fire Marshal Bill is in the background.
That's amazing.
He's like,
I'm sure he is. That's amazing. Jim Carrey is one of my favorites.
yeah.
The Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
Dude.
I quote that movie way more than I should.
Dude, I have a recommendation for anybody watching and for you.
Okay.
There's an Instagram account called Grinch Fan.
Okay.
And there's a guy that's working as a staff member at Universal Studios as the Grinch this holiday season.
Okay.
And he is so funny. He must be like one of these improv actors. Like he probably would have been a good cast member.
Yeah.
But he is like, to me, as funny as Jim Carrey. Like people come in to take pictures with him and he's just an asshole to like.
And so this is an account that you can view.
Yeah.
You don't have to go witness it in person.
Correct. Okay. I mean, it'd be great if you could fly down there and see him. But
have you been to Universal?
I have.
I have been.
Yeah.
We were very poor growing up, so I had to do this as my own as an adult.
Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't go to Disney till I was like 27.
Oh, it's so fun going to Disney in your 20s, though.
But see, I was there with a different lens because I was like, wow, this, it's beautiful. Like everything is, it's so clean. It's pristine there. And it was very childish to me because I had been to Universal first. And I think that was a little bit more grown up, a little bit more adult.
Yeah, for sure.
But the employee buy-in that Disney has is mind-blowing to me. I'm like, God damn it. I was born 30 years old. So like, I'm like peaking in my 80s right now.
Yeah.
And
by employee buy-in, do you mean like the cast, the people that are dressed up as characters?
Just like the ladies sweeping the streets was just joyfully singing all the songs that they were playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want my employees to sing while they, wash a fucking teacup that they never do. I told them the other day, I was like, if you don't wash your fucking teacups, I'm going to throw them all on the ground and make you clean it up.
And you better sing while you wash them.
Better fucking sing. Then I'm going to watch you sweep.
Yeah, you're like Cinderella's mom. Dude.
Yeah, it goes on and off. It depends on what time of the month you catch me on.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Because women, we are cyclic beings. We are
cyclic beings.
Yeah, we go.
Yeah, I have cycles.
Yeah, we go with the moon. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about periods?
Would you like to? That's a real question. I can learn you something, David.
Oh, I don't care. We can talk about anything and everything.
It's beautiful. I mean, I can give you book references if you prefer to learn on your own, or.
Yeah.
No, it's actually if there actually are women watching this show, check out the book Code Red. It's amazing.
What is Code Red about?
It's it tells you how to tap into all 4 cycles. So your pre-menstruation, your ovulation, your pre-ovulation, and then your menstruation, and how during these cycles of the month, you it just teaches you how to go with the flow. No, but it's really cool. And like how like in your pre-ovulation, you're just like, let's take names and kick ass. And then it's like, okay, like, and then like your pre-menstruation, you start to like be a little bit more nesty and like you want to be home and more to yourself. And then menstruates and you're like, I just want to be soft and sleep.
Yeah. And that's the more like touchy time. Is that the cliche? I mean, I don't mean to be negative.
No, it's okay. You don't have a uterus. And, one of my favorite things is ancient Romans used to think that the uterus was detached from the woman's body. And once a month, it would float around the body, just pinging all of the different organs and fucking with the body.
That's what they thought was going on.
And I'm like, that's so true. Like, it wasn't detached, but it's still controlling everything in the body. So men's hormone cycles are 24 hours. Women's are 28 days.
Okay.
So we're just 2 totally different beings.
Yeah.
And so it's important for a woman to know in a very male-dominated world that it's okay to not have to feel like you have to keep up and have to do all this because you're not a man. You weren't built the same.
Right.
Your hormones are completely different than a man's.
So is there a fourth aspect Was there a fourth portion of the cycle? Like, because you described the beginning where you want to kick ass and take names.
That's like pre-ovulation.
Pre-ovulation.
And then there's ovulation.
Ovulation.
And ovulation, you're trying to fuck because your body's like,
that's the pre
put
part?
a baby in me. That's ovulation.
That's ovulation.
That's when you're releasing an egg to hopefully get fertilized.
So that's when you get horny.
And then you're like, I want to fuck everything.
Okay.
It's real, man. So
It's
like
real.
if a girl's ever like real on to you, she's either drunk or ovulating. And if she smells good, she's probably ovulating.
Okay.
So wrap it up.
Okay.
We don't need any more babies on this planet.
Yeah, okay.
And then
she's very fertile in that.
Yes,
period.
correct.
Okay.
And then there is premenstruation.
Okay.
And then menstruation. And that is where the uterine lining
is going all around the body. Yeah.
ping-ponging around.
That according to the ancient Romans.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually I run a book club. I told you I had 16 jobs. I run a book club, and this is the books we read.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so we just finished Code Red, and now we're on to we can talk about hard things.
That's amazing. So I'm not done talking about Code Red. So
Lisa Lister, it's a great book.
The emotional cycle for a woman is 28 days.
Well, the hormonal cycle.
Hormonal cycle.
Correct. Emotional is like every 36 seconds.
Okay, right.
Yes, that's my personal.
So the hormonal cycle for a man is 24 hours.
24 hours.
So does that mean a man goes through the same kind of highs and lows in a 24-hour period?
That's a great question.
Or
I have no idea.
Okay.
I haven't looked into your beings.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out mine.
Oh, they're both so complicated. Well, maybe we're not that complicated. We're pretty simple.
You guys are like, do you have sports ball and Cheetos?
Sports ball. I'm a big sports ball.
Great.
Do you hate sports ball? Or do you like sports ball?
I don't hate sports ball. I think hate is a very strong word. I reserve that for very few things in my life.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Are you completely indifferent towards sports ball?
No. I think that we could be using money to like help so many better things.
I see. Okay.
Than making billionaires, brain damaged billionaires. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I hope, that those people then put back into the world, but not so often the case. They're too busy like creating more baby mamas and
this is sad.
How many baby mamas do you have?
I want to defend
That's
sport
okay,
ball.
please. And I know the team building, I know like the communication and all of the great things that come from it.
Yeah.
Do I think it needs to be a professional thing? Maybe not. These are my opinions.
Yeah.
But I grew up in you had to play sports ball
to be loved.
Oh, man, my parents are going to hate me after this. I do. I genuinely feel like my parents love me. But both of my brothers like played travel baseball, and all we did growing up was travel baseball. So not necessarily like to say like my parents, they definitely supported that aspect.
Yeah.
And so we were just kind of.
Do you feel like your ambitions took a back seat to the travel baseball?
I don't know if we wow, I didn't know this was also going to be a therapy session.
It always is.
Thanks for having me. Definitely not showing my parents this, mainly because they, they have watched me talk about my pussy on stage. So what else is new?
We already covered periods in the first 10 minutes.
That's nothing. I'll teach you all day. We already covered periods. That's just the beginning. This is a tricky question. I'm still trying to formulate words.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, what were your like you said you had like the dream of like SNL as a kid. What were you into as a child? Like you weren't into baseball. So like what
I mean, I played softball.
You played softball?
Played softball my whole life.
Okay. Did you love softball or did you feel pressure to do it?
I didn't mind it. But as a child, you don't know much about the world except for what you're exposed to.
Right.
So like that's what my parents exposed me to was In Living Color,
in softball,
Saturday Night Live, and sports ball.
Sure.
Yeah.
Were your brothers older than you?
I have one older and one younger.
Okay.
So I have an older brother, older sister. It's me, and then my baby brother.
Mhm.
So I'm 3 of 4.
Okay.
My parents literally just found out I existed like 3 years ago.
Wow.
They were like, "Holy shit, we had a third one."
And you're the middle child.
Well, my brother, like, we call him Golden Child. Like, you know, no drugs, no drinking, no nothing, just sports. None of my family has a country accent, but it just sounds better when you say it in
for
a
sure.
southern accent. And then my sister was like the rebellious one. So like she was off just making mischief.
Did she get a lot of attention because of how much trouble she got in?
Yes.
So you were like,
and then I was like, ooh, I don't want that relationship with my parents.
mm-hmm.
And then there was my baby brother who was just like, whatever you want, we'll do it. We love you.
So you were not getting the attention.
I've always been a hustler. Like I've always, I like money. I like shoes.
Yeah.
I've always liked fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So like my whole life, this sounds so silly, but like in the summer times I had a lemonade stand and like
Very cool.
we brought in like $300 a day.
Oh my god.
I'm not even kidding you. Like 50 cents. People would just like give you $5 and be like, here, have it.
Uh-huh.
So, we're in a little poppin' area of tiny suburbs of Charlotte
Charlotte?
called Matthews. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
it was really great. And so, yeah, did that, babysat a lot. And
Love it.
I loved art. Like I love to create. I like arts and crafts.
Yeah. So you love to create all through childhood as well?
Absolutely. My mom is actually a very talented, potter. She
Oh.
throws pottery.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. And during COVID, my dad actually like built her a whole studio in our house.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's got her kilns up and she's got her potter's wheel.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so my mom, very artistic, very creative. She had her own business as well. She was a graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was about 3 years old, I think, when she gave up her business.
Okay.
Because the movie Drop Dead Fred came out. Do you remember this movie?
Remind me.
Okay, the premise is this girl has an imaginary friend.
Okay.
Okay, because she's so neglected by her mother. And she just proceeds to like fuck her whole life up, and her mom have this terrible relationship. And one day, and like growing up, we had a nanny. It sounds way fancier than it is, but like it's not that fancy. But we
It's
did.
okay to have a nanny.
I did have somebody like to rear me from the second I was born. And I guess like she was taking a nap and I was supposed to be taking a nap or something, but I like destroyed my mom's kitchen, like destroyed my mom's kitchen. It's a little traumatic, but like I threw flour and like all the spices and everything just like all over the kitchen. I grabbed a black magic marker and drew all over my face. And then I got the sink running, and my mom's office was we had a townhouse. And so her business was in our basement, and she heard the water running and came upstairs and was like, and she was like, oh my God, my daughter has an imaginary friend and she's going to hate me when she grows up. And so she quit her business. I made my mom quit her job.
So, holy crap.
All because of Drop Dead Fred.
Because in the movie,
Yeah.
the character would do similar things just to get attention from her mom?
I have
or
no
what
idea. I didn't know I was so attention seeking until I came here. And now it all makes sense. Like, this is why I do comedy.
No.
Okay. How much do I owe you for this session?
Is it No, I'm just.
Do you take insurance?
Oh, no.
That's okay.
No.
I brought some cash with me. No, I have a pretty decent relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
They're fine. I mean, you've met
I met your father.
You've had the pleasure of meeting my dad.
Your father made me want to jump off a bridge.
But that's why you have a podcast.
Talk about honesty. Yes, it is why.
Welcome to my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, your dad was amazing. I like
and
talking
honest
to him.
communication.
I mean, one of the things that I always had an issue with was I can't take negative feedback. I mean,
it's tough.
Nobody likes negative feedback.
Nobody does.
But I don't know. That's my...
Have you received a lot of negative feedback in your life?
I avoid hearing it. I mean, I was probably like your big brother.
You were the golden child.
I was.
Wow.
Like, I never did anything wrong. I'm the oldest. Never did anything wrong. Always got straight A's and was never drank, never touched anything wrong, never swore. Very Christian. Very, 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 And you're like, wow, that's yeah.
No, not at all. I grew up in an extremely Catholic household. We went to church 3 days a week. Like the fact that I say pussy as often as I do, I'm sure just my mom's like, it just like slowly kills her.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So at some point along the line, this is why I was asking those questions, because I thought maybe we had similar in terms of some aspects, but like at some point, I think I equated the accomplishments with what was justifying love.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it wasn't that my parents tried to make me think that.
Yeah.
They would just put a test on the fridge and be like, oh, David got an A. I was like, now I got to get A's all the time. Because as soon as I don't, I'm not going to get that. So I don't like when I get a B on anything.
Yeah.
And your dad telling me that I should do things differently on stage was me getting a B in my mind.
I'm so sorry.
It was like,
I hope it's encouraged you.
Oh, no.
Helped you in any way.
No, I think he was wrong. So fuck that guy.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
He's only my best friend.
No. I'm just kidding.
We can fight later.
Well, opinions you take.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
No, I think he did have points. I'm just kidding. But
yeah, he's
it's healthy to get feedback. For sure.
And for that man to be the amazing father that he is, from like the upbringing that he had, will always blow my mind.
It was unbelievable to me how candid he was.
Yeah.
Not just talking when we were talking about me, we were talking about life.
Yeah.
And do you remember the conversation?
Briefly. I was just like, oh, fuck.
You were like, what are you going to say next?
I was like, well, here we go. This is my dad.
I feel like we talked about regrets or something. And
absolutely.
he said that he had some. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
so I'm going to
I couldn't remember if it was regretting that he wishes he had tried stand-up earlier. I think that was
still
one
wants
of
to try stand-up.
He still wants to try stand-up.
He does.
I think he should.
Yeah, I think so too. This
sure.
is what I mean.
For a guy that
I'm his favorite child.
Are you really?
No.
You should be. Yeah.
So, okay, I have 4 siblings. My oldest brother is married with 2 children. My sister's about to get married. There's me, and then my youngest brother, who lives at home with them.
Okay.
My dad is a traveling salesman, and so he has the whole South territory.
Uh-huh.
So he's got North Carolina, South Carolina, I want to say Florida, and Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else is in Georgia, because I'm like, that's so strange. And so my oldest brother lives in Greensboro, North Carolina. My sister and my younger brother both live back home in Charlotte. And so when he comes to Greenville, he's just like, Amanda's single. She's living her best life. Like, what's the plan? Where are we going? What are we doing tonight? Because like I have a very active social life when I can. And so he comes here to let his hair down.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have. So
how many times does he come here?
He comes about once a month for a week.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so great.
Daddy-daughter time.
So great.
See, I was a fan.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love it.
No, I'm being serious.
Yeah, he really just says he's on a business trip, but comes to get away from the constant nagging of my mother. Yeah.
No, I think that's cool. Like the reason I'm like, I'm kind of
that's why I'm here.
Huh?
Just kidding.
I'm oblivious to that like father-daughter thing a little bit because 4 boys in my family, and then we adopted my little sister. She's from China, and so she was so much younger than we were. Like now she's in college. She's 18 now.
Wow, you're one of 4 boys.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
5 total. Great.
Explains so much, David.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
I think it's called toxic masculinity.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Just kidding.
Toxic masculinity.
No, David, I think you're a good guy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and that comes from my very honest upbringing.
Good.
Yeah.
No.
No, he should definitely do stand up. I think I couldn't imagine being married at the age of 24.
That's how old your parents were when they got married?
They were 24 and 23 when they got married. I remember I moved to South Carolina when I was 23.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the biggest year of like figuring out who I was. Like, I loved it. It was just a very like exponentially growth period for me.
So what brought you to South Carolina? Was it the aesthetics business?
It was not. No.
Okay.
I had been actually attended the Aveda Institute in Charlotte, so that's
Cool.
why I giggled at your roseberry mint lotion over there. Yeah, so prior to moving to South Carolina, I was an esthetician for 4 years, something like that. And
In your early 20s,
I
you were from
have,
20 to 24, you were an
I
esthetician?
let's see, 19, I became an esthetician.
Wow.
Yeah, I moved here when I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have been an esthetician as long as Jacob Nolan has been trying to figure out his sexuality.
Wow.
Little boys.
Heyo.
Heyo.
This was a good week for Jacob Nolan roasts.
You know
There were
what?
a lot of roasts at that show
It was a good show.
on Wednesday, which sidebar, congratulations
Oh my gosh.
on being booked on your was your first show, right?
That was my first show within the Greenville comedy scene.
Okay, you've done some other ones.
Yeah, I got booked with Darby Wilcox. She did a variety show
Okay.
at Swanson's Warehouse
Okay.
in December. It was a lot of fun. So,
Excellent.
yeah, we had 3 bands. An artist, Julius Ferguson, was there.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome. Yeah, so shout out to Darby.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we're gonna
Just
be-
getting started. But
Yeah.
I don't want to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
So you start I want to go back to your
Yeah.
progression from figuring yourself out at 23 or whatever.
I met a guy in Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
and we met in October. And like 3 weeks into meeting, he was like, "Hey, I just accepted a PhD program in Clemson, South Carolina." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So he ended up moving to Clemson in December of 2013. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he was like, months later, like, "I love you. You should move in with me." And I was
So you
like,
came for a boy.
I did. I think that's a lot of women's stories, actually. And I was like, "Dad, like this guy just fucking asked me to move in with him."
What'd your dad think?
Grew up from a very Catholic household.
Yeah.
And like, thankfully, my grandfather had passed already because my mom was like some fucked up shit with my grandpa. She had a lot of, conditioning from him. And
He would not have been cool with that.
he would not have been cool with it. But
Right.
he had since passed, and I was like, "Dad, like this guy, just asked me to move in with him 2.5 hours away from here." And my dad was like, "Do it. Go. Get out of here. Like, go explore. Go live your life." So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. My dad has always been
Do you think he said that maybe because he got married so young?
exactly. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
my dad, they waited a few years. They waited like 3 years before they had kids. But my dad was like a pretty big alcoholic
Mm-hmm.
prior to having children. And he was like really intoxicated one night, and we were from Maryland, so it was like real snowy. And yeah, he just decided to like quit drinking because he messed up, and my mom could have gone to labor at any time. And so he quit drinking, and so he had a very rough upbringing.
Yeah.
So I think he just wanted to give his kids any opportunity he possibly could to just figure out who they were without having like too much pressure on themselves.
Yeah.
So, I had been an esthetician for a few years, applied for reciprocity,
What is that?
where you just like, as long as like the state you're coming from, you have like the right amount of hours. So like in North Carolina, I think it's like 600 hours to become an esthetician. And here in South Carolina, it was like 450 at the time. So like I had plenty of hours to become an esthetician in the state of South Carolina. But a lot of times you have to be licensed for like 3 or 4 years before you can just transfer your license. So
Okay.
I was able to do that. I started working in Anderson, but I lived in Clemson. And I cried every day for 6 months.
Really?
Just sobbing. I moved here in June of 2014. And he was on Clemson's campus all the time. And I was working with the general population in Anderson, South Carolina. And he was like, I came home one day and he's like, "You've been crying." And I was like, I would just, my whole drive home, I would just sob. And he was like, "You've been crying." And I was like, "Yeah, I have been crying." He's like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Where the fuck do we just move to?"
Yeah.
And I'm like sobbing.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "No one
Anderson.
has teeth here." And he was like, "What do you mean?" Like, everybody on campus. And I was like, "They're also driving Bugattis and Range Rovers. I'm working with the general population, So, yeah. And so 6 months into living here, I was
Dude,
like,
yeah, that's crazy.
it was terrible.
The Anderson
Dude.
population.
Okay, so I worked at the Ulta in Anderson.
Oh my God.
Okay, so the way that it was set up, like it was like a door and then a little like alleyway and then like another door, and it opened up to like this circle shape all fragrance. So like men's cologne, women's perfumes,
Uh-huh.
right there. Somebody backed their car up to the front door, and like two people came, like left the doors open, came in with backpacks on, filled the backpacks up with fragrance, and just took
They
off.
robbed you?
Like thousands of dollars worth of perfume.
Oh,
Yeah.
with guns?
No, not guns. No.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I
if
was
they
just
had
like, I
guns
gotta get the fuck out of here.
sticking up
Like,
in-
I hate it here. So,
Were you in the store when this happened?
yes, I was.
Dude, that's traumatic.
It was wild. I was just like,
What
well,
did you do?
I was like, oh, somebody just
You didn't stop
robbed
them?
fragrance.
Did you say, you can't do that?
I was miserable, David. I hated every aspect of my life. So I wasn't just like, hey, do you want to smell this fragrance? Like, I wasn't just an employee. I waxed eyebrows at the brow bar.
Yeah.
And so I was like doing a service at the time. So I'm not just going to be like, hey, ma'am, let me leave half of this wax on your face while I apprehend these people. But the second they walk off out of your door, you can't do anything. Like, you can't chase them out
That's the
into
law?
the street. That's the law.
Dude, that sucked. There should be a little more vigilante justice flexibility where you could like tackle them or something.
Oh, that would be dope. That would be
My
so great.
perfume back, you assholes.
Exactly. But, you know.
Dude, that would make me
capitalism.
cry too.
Yeah, and so I came home one day and I was like, listen, I can do this. Like, do you trust me to just open my own business here in Clemson? And he was like, go for it. Because girls were driving like half an hour to go to Anderson to get their eyebrows waxed. And so I walked into like a bunch of salons on Main Street.
So they were driving because there weren't a lot of other options.
Correct.
For
And so I was like, I got this on lock. I have a lot of confidence instilled because of my father.
yeah.
Yeah. And yes, I walked into a salon one day and I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? They're like, how long have you been doing hair? And I said, I don't. I wax eyebrows. And they were like, psh. But thankfully, one of the hairstylists had just ripped somebody's skin off.
Trying to do eyebrows?
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's such misconception out there because people are like, I got my eyebrows done there and they burned me. But a lot of it goes into like, what are you using on your skin currently? So like, you know, any kind of antibiotic or like retinol, Accutane antibiotics. Accutane.
I was on Accutane.
You were?
Yeah.
You're going to have some fucked up babies.
Oh.
It creates birth defects.
Yeah, they talked about that. Well,
Girls have
for
to get
girls.
pregnancy tested once a month.
Yeah. I hope I don't have fucked up babies because of that.
You know.
Long term, hopefully
I don't
not.
think it's just the Accutane, David.
Could
Yeah.
be other stuff.
So yeah, I walked in and I was like, "Can I work here?" And they were like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "That corner." And they were like, "Okay." And I was like, and they were like, "Do you think $20 for an eyebrows a lot?" And I was like, "No." And so then I opened the brow lab at Clemson.
Very cool.
Yeah, and the way that I campaigned was there's a famous picture of Anne Hathaway at the time, like with and without eyebrows, and I just like it was literally like eyebrows are important, and then I just like put my logo and phone number on there, and the guy I was dating just went around to campus and put all those
Oh,
flyers
that was
up.
nice of him.
Yeah,
Seems like a
and then
good
I
guy.
would just tape them in the bathroom stalls at all the bars in Clemson. And Yelp called me one day, and they were like, "Hey, how can we? You know, we want to know."
Yelp called you?
Yeah, and they're like, "What are you doing?" They'll call you all the time when you have a business because they want to like put your business page on Yelp
Okay.
and like ads and bullshit. And they were like, "What are you doing to market?" And I was like, "Oh, honestly, I live in a small college town. There's plenty of bars. I just go put my business cards in the mirrors at bars and."
So smart.
Yeah, and
I really like that.
I always will prefer word of mouth over any form of digital platform, just because that's how I would prefer to receive my information as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No question.
and then I
And was
was
that
like,
successful basically at the outset? Your strategies of marketing that way worked?
it was. And then, you know, it's a college town, so Christmas and summertime, well, winter and summer were hard because there was nothing there.
Right.
Well, the students were gone. Yeah,
So the majority of your clients were students?
correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. And then like the regulars that would come to the salon.
Yeah.
So
So was that when it kind of turned the corner for you when it went from like crying, working at the Alta
Yeah, I
bar
was like,
to like once you like took ownership of your own business, that was when it started to be like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
and
happy to be here.
I've always known I cannot work for people. I just can't do it. Like I thrive
It's hard.
with my own rules and madness and chaos. So, and I would always prefer to my stress to be my stress rather than, you know, well, these numbers and that, and you got to compete with her and drama.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Or like some
always
boss
wanna
telling you what
contain
you
it.
have to tell.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
I moved to Greenville in 2018
Okay.
because I was like, I love you, but this isn't love. I got to go.
What did you feel you have to go? Did you feel like you had kind of outgrown where you had accomplished what you wanted to there, and you wanted to do something like bigger, like
I
do
don't know.
more?
Oh,
Or
no.
what?
I mean, I could have stayed. I mean, this guy does brain cancer for children at St. Jude's Hospital. I would have been a paid-ass housewife right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I didn't mean I meant you
That's okay.
personally.
No.
So did you the relationship?
No, I
ended and
can't
that
wait
was-
to be like I'm still waiting to be a housewife. That's my goal. I actually want to be a homesteader. Like I want to have like chickens and goats and all
Very
that shit
cool.
in a garden. He would prefer to finger bang a video game than a human being. Yeah,
Oh no!
I know.
Oh, we're getting into the relationship.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was like, I
So
gotta
you-
go.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
actually want to ask about this, like
Okay.
video games.
Yeah,
Like I've heard this as a criticism of guys. Like, you hear some girls like, all my boyfriend does is play video games. What do you think it is about guys that makes them obsessed with video games? I've always sucked at video games. My brothers always beat me growing up. I never was good at them.
Yeah.
I can't sit down and play a campaign or do like online. I don't. Do you have a theory?
I don't know. Like
Guys.
I don't hate video games. I grew up playing like Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, I like Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot's great.
Spyro the Dragon.
We had Spyro, but also
What was the dance?
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
Chun-Li. I have been Chun-Li on more than one occasion for Halloween. She's my favorite.
Yeah. Mario Kart.
Mario Kart's
Super Smash
great.
Bros.
Never Smash Bros.
I liked fun games in groups.
I like
that.
Grand Theft Auto, man.
Dude, Grand Theft Auto.
But like the bad part of Grand Theft Auto is that then you like go to get in your car and you're just like rage, and you like try to drive your car like a normal person, but you just like are so doped up.
Dude, why was it so fun killing people in Grand Theft Auto?
So maybe
It's
it's
so
like
fun
this-
beating somebody with a bat. Like just,
And then you get to steal their money.
it was so funny to me. Like you're just running around,
Crazy.
and then
I
there's
like
just
when-
these little like robot guys who just, hey.
Yeah. I like when people like the people doing the player things on the internet now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, where they're like, and
it's
they'll,
like the loading screen where you're like getting like
and they'll
little
change their outfit. It's really
What about
cute.
GoldenEye? Did you play GoldenEye?
Did not play GoldenEye, but one
Yeah.
time my cousin and my brother were playing GoldenEye, and my cousin was just getting like fucked on so hard, and
Yeah.
he's my favorite cousin of all time. My dad and I, we attract crazy people, and like crazy people will just come tell you crazy shit. He's hilarious, and so my brother and him were playing GoldenEye one time, and Chris was laughing so hard he projectile vomited. Like I will never forget that moment ever. And
What was he laughing at?
that's all I think about GoldenEye. I think my brother was just like having a total and complete meltdown because
Yeah.
they also can't handle anything negative because my parents just like blew their heads up. And so my brother was just like complaining the whole time, and Chris couldn't stop laughing, and then he just he's a good guy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and
so
then-
why do you think boys like video games?
I don't know. I know for this guy in particular, I had just met him when he moved from Denver to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of his like childhood friends, that's the way that they would connect. And
I
so
see.
I could always like, I'm really good at seeing both sides of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would always be, and it's a time difference. It's a 3-hour time difference from here to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, our 10 o'clock is their 7 p.m. So, they'd hop on and play video games, and I'd go put myself to sleep every night. And I'd be like, I'll never forget.
You want to be held.
I know. I'm like, am I not important? I'm a warm-blooded human being.
Sorry,
right here.
babe. Call of Duty.
Yeah. It was actually, Overwatch. Do you know this game?
What's the premise of this one?
Kind of feel like maybe Call of Duty.
Like a first-person shooter type game?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like all of their like catchphrases will like forever be embedded in my head because the house that we lived in was a loft. And so like our living room was here, and there was just this giant vaulted ceiling, and then our bedroom was there. So like there's this one character, her name's Farah, and hers is "Let justice reign from above."
Oh my!
And then she just explodes all these missiles everywhere.
This sounds mythical.
It's
well.
It haunts my nightmares.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Yeah. What a horrible game.
But there's fun games like Jackbox games. Like that's a group setting game. That's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Rocket League's a good time. You just like play soccer, but with RV cars.
I can relate to the camaraderie piece. I guess I could see why he would be into that because my college football buddies, that's how they stayed connected after we all left and weren't together anymore. Like they would get online and play, and they would play for hours and hours. I was never a part of that.
Yeah, I mean,
they blow up the group chat about it.
I want to be present. I want to be with people, like, and I think there's a healthy balance between everything in life. You know what I mean? So
for sure,
you got to find the balance, and he did not. So I was like,
wait, did you give an ultimatum? It's me or Overwatch, and he took Overwatch.
He was like, "Sorry, babe, it's Farah.
Sorry, babe.
Sorry, I'm gonna play this game all night."
This PS5's coming out.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm like, have fun fucking your PlayStation. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
I'm sorry. This is
no.
This is a relationship falling apart.
It's okay.
This is
listen. You have to laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, dude.
No, and you know, I think it's very important to like take lessons that you learned and stimulate them into future relationships. And then I remember I went home one day and I gave him a hug. Like I had to ask him for a hug. Yeah. And I'm not a very physically affectionate person unless it's with my person. Like I won't I don't know. Like I do it for a living all day. I just touch people all day. So like by the time I get home, it's just like I want to be held and I want to be touched.
Yeah.
And so I came home one day and I gave him a hug and I felt like nothing. Like nothing.
No.
I'll never forget this moment. And I started sobbing and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I don't feel anything for you anymore."
Oh no.
I know. Yep. So he was just like, "What can we do?" And I was like, "Here are the problems." And he was like, "Okay, here are my problems." So we sat down and we talked about it. And we were like, "What can we do?" So we tried to work it out. And then January, I was like, "Hey, nothing's changed. I've got a bag packed. My parents will be here tomorrow. Like, I'm going to leave." And he was like, "No, we can do it." And then the next month, I stayed. And then the next month was Valentine's Day. And I remember I had just met my friend, Sam. She's moving to Rhode Island. But she was the first person I ever met when I moved here to Greenville. We worked together, but she also had a vintage clothing store. And so I went and I bought some vintage clothing for this specific holiday. And he was just like, "Wow, you look nice." And then like literally hopped on Overwatch. And I was like, and my parents came and we packed my whole house up and I left the next week.
Fucking Overwatch, dude.
Fucking Overwatch, man.
Dude.
His mom did text me last year to let me know that he's happily married. Yeah.
Why?
I know. She was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, Brian's engaged and Joey had a baby." That was his brother.
Dude, you dodged a bullet. Why would you want her as a mother-in-law?
And then I was just like, "Wow, Debbie's super fucked up." And she was like, "Hey, I hope you found someone special." And I was like, just out here building an empire.
But did she know you were still single?
I have no idea.
I feel like
I have no clue. We are not connected on social media.
Dude, that's like classic toxic mother-in-law shit right there. That is like,
it's wild.
She's bragging about her
I'm
son
like,
being
I
happily
haven't
married.
talked to this family.
Just so you know, he's doing great despite you not being in his life.
He makes 6 figures a year. But yeah, and that's how I ended up here in Greenville. My parents were like, "We can't wait for you to come home."
Aww.
And I said, "No, I'm actually gonna move to the city where I don't know anyone, and I'm just gonna flounder for 1 year." And they were like, "Okay."
That was your initial plan? Like 1 year and see what happens.
So just to see.
So tell me what happened in that first year when you moved.
Man.
So how old were you at this point? This was...
Gosh, I'm 32. That's 2018.
So you were 4 years in Anderson and then here.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was that like? Because did you have friends?
I had one friend.
One friend.
Her name was Sam.
Okay. Yeah.
She's literally moving to Rhode Island.
That's
in like
that's
2 days. And so I found this house off Augusta Road. And it was really cute, little duplex. And I'm really good at gentrifying, like being the first white people to, okay. I'm like, it's hard for me to say, like to get it out, but I was the first white person to move onto my street. And, I had this little duplex, and it was third house down behind the Church's Chicken on Augusta.
Did you buy it?
No.
Okay.
We're not all paid, David.
Huh? You could buy a duplex on Augusta Road.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what Augusta Road properties go for. I thought maybe it was an investment because you could rent out the
No,
other.
I just rented it. So moved in there, and I'll never forget the day my parents showed up, and my mom was like, "Oh my God, Amanda, this is where you're gonna live." And I was like, "Yeah, isn't it dope?" And my dad hops out of the car, and he was like, "Amanda, this is so great. Way to go. This is beautiful." And my mom's like, "This is dangerous."
Oh yeah, she was worried.
And I loved it. I had amazing neighbors. Like I loved it so much. Yeah, I had a really great time. It's a good time.
Now, did you start your own business at that point here?
I did not, no, but I did look at some studios at that time, and I was like, you know what, it's not time. At this point, I was managing the Origins counter at Belk.
Okay.
Yes.
Origins counter?
Origins is just a fake organic skincare line.
Oh, okay.
By Estee Lauder.
Okay, gotcha.
Don't believe the hype.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know a lot about this stuff.
Actually, crazy incidents. The day that I was going home to break up with this guy, my parents were like driving from Charlotte, and I had like just loaded a bunch of boxes into my car. His grandparents live in Saluda, North Carolina, which is like not far, like Tryon. It's not far from here.
Yeah.
His grandpa, badass. His name's Clyde. He like picked a mountain and was like, "I'm building a house on that mountain." He did. He excavated the whole road, like built this log cabin. Super crazy. Like I love that old man more than anything in the whole world. Like that's why I held on to this relationship so much, because I didn't
have his grandparents.
Yeah, exactly. I have grandparent issues. Most people just have like daddy issues. Like,
yeah, you have
granddaddy
issues.
Yeah. And so they had this one couple that lived on the mountain. And it was a younger couple, and they were really good friends. And his grandparents refused to fly, so they drove all the way to Colorado for their grandson's wedding. Not the guy I was dating. And this couple drove them across country, and like as soon as I met her, like we like clicked. Like she was real chill. Like we just like didn't know anybody at this wedding, so we just like instantly became best friends.
Wait, so you went to the wedding too? So the couple that drove them was who you met at this wedding in Colorado?
The grandparents.
Okay.
And so I'm like literally just coming back from putting all these boxes in my car at the Greenville Belk. But because this is the closest mall, like the better mall, they would come here from Saluda. And so I was like walking in my car, and this lady saw me and I saw her, and I was like we just like kind of clicked, and we saw each other, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're Joey's wife," which was his brother's wife. And I was literally going home to break up with him that night.
Oh, no.
And she was like, "You're Joey's wife." And I just started sobbing. And I was like, "No, I'm Brian's girlfriend, but not for long. Like, I'm literally going home to break up with him."
And you told her?
"Please don't tell his grandparents yet." And she was like, "No, honey, that's totally fine." She was like, "It's okay. It was really nice to know you."
Wait, so the person who saw you was the grandmother?
The grandparents' friend that drove them across country.
Okay, that was the
It's like
grandparent.
a crazy story.
Yeah, crazy coincidence that you saw them at the same time. Did you take that as like an omen
wild.
that
like
you saw them that time? Do you believe in signs?
I was like, should I break up with her?
Yeah, like is this like is this the universe reaching back out to like
I
say,
could really be a homesteader.
Yeah.
No, it was time, and I don't regret it. I moved here, met some really cool people, and yeah, and then I
So being single,
yeah,
you know, coming to Greenville, like was this where you started your
hoe phase?
series
Yes,
of
it was.
jobs?
Just kidding.
Would you say?
I said hoe phase? Yes, it was.
Oh, I didn't mean hoe
I'm
phase.
just kidding.
Well, yeah.
Heyo.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
And it made me realize I don't appreciate empty one night stands.
Yes.
It's very
very
depleting.
hollow.
Very depleting.
Yeah, I agree. I had a hoe phase in Atlanta.
I think it's important. You got to get it out.
Yeah.
You know?
I had a dysfunctional kind of relationship to sex because of the wait for marriage evangelical purity mindset and breaking out of if you break out of that, sometimes you overcorrect
Exactly.
to the other way.
100%.
And, you just don't really know. There's a lot of like shame and confusion and suppression and also
And guilt.
and guilt.
Ugh.
And all the while you're only really thinking about your own. You're not really connecting
Exactly.
either.
Yeah.
So I'm great. It was like going through the desert in
Yeah.
a way of like figuring that out.
But see, I think you have to go through that to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I
totally.
think that it is healthy. Like you have to try things. You have to make mistakes. I think that's all very beautiful, important lessons of life.
Yeah. So
And-
so you feel like that was a necessary period for you because you had like
Well, thankfully,
Your-
I just like there was like
your
2 or
relation-
3 of them, and then I was like, I found a steady fuck buddy, and I was like, this is great.
well no I don't
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
weird. Amanda is honest. No, that's awesome.
We can edit this whole show.
We're not editing. I'll show you later how painful it is to
God
edit. That's why
damn
this
it.
show is unfiltered. It's not because I'm making
Okay.
a statement about it being unfiltered. It's
No,
laziness.
it's fine. It's fine. I think it's
I
important.
can't edit stuff out if you
Yeah.
want, but
There will be something I do need you to edit out.
yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, because I sometimes think about, oftentimes, like in my hometown and community, a lot of people get married very young at like 22, 23, 24.
Yeah.
And I wonder, because you kind of had a relationship that was very serious in your early 20s that could have led to marriage.
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened if that didn't happen? Like if you stayed together?
We stayed together.
Do you think you can still, figure yourself out in the context of getting married very young? Or do you think you it's necessary?
I think it's
it might be
important to figure yourself out before you get married.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful thing when couples are able to grow together and like figure each other out along the way. Because your brain isn't fully developed until you're 27 years old. You know what I mean? That blows my mind.
Yeah. And do you ever feel like we're still learning about the brain too? Like I feel like
Always.
there were certain consensus things that are no longer consensus.
Yeah. Like the uterus is actually attached to a woman's body.
Yes.
It doesn't free float around.
It doesn't free float around like the
Who
ancient
knew?
Romans thought. Although maybe in an energy sense it kind of bounces
Definitely.
around. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But like I don't know. I because I didn't start comedy till 2.5 years ago, and I was
Absolutely.
over 30.
Yeah.
And I don't think about things. I don't even perceive things how I did before. Like I don't.
Absolutely.
Like I feel more open
Yeah.
and more at peace, and in ways way more confused about the nature of
Yeah.
reality, but in other ways way more at peace with that.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about reality is you get to create it. You get to make it your own.
Do you?
You do.
I suppose it's dependent on your perceptions.
Perception is reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
So your reality can be whatever you make it.
you don't think there's a do you think there's this is a really existential topic.
Welcome. I hope
I
neither
wanna
one of
get-
us kill ourselves after this.
No, I love these topics.
Perfect.
I am a glutton for
I'm here for it
existential
too.
topics.
Speaking of this,
Do you think there's a right way? Do you think there's like because I kind of think there is like a sort of internal compass that you kind of know, whether it's your conscience or whatever, to know you're like on a right track versus a wrong
Absolutely.
one? Because I feel like there is like, because when you said you can create your own reality, I kind of think my brain wanted to say no, that's not true, because there's a wrong reality that you could create that's bad.
yeah, but that would still be your reality.
It would still be, you're creating like your own personal hell, kind of.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like
A lot of people live in
alcoholism
there.
or attachment to like something that's
Absolutely.
But
But
ego, whatever.
and you can feel those people. Like if you're so
Let's go
tuned
here.
in, okay. Like if you're ready to get weird, I'm here for it. I think that when you look internally and you start to like do what makes you feel good, you can then radiate that good. But it also has to be that good coming from a good place. Like you can't just like go around like Jeffrey Dahmer eating people,
Right.
Because that makes you feel
can't
good.
be like a Machiavellian,
you just
power hungry person.
correct. And like but see, those people are still creating the reality. They're still getting what they want, and they're going for it, as shitty as it is.
Yeah.
They're still creating their own reality. So you do get to choose, like, I can use this to do good, or you can use it to do bad things.
Sure.
You haven't watched The Midnight Gospel yet, have you?
I've seen one episode.
Wow.
That's the Duncan Trussell cartoon
is.
podcast. Very trippy.
It is.
Very trippy, the
is.
episode I saw.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure what I was watching because they
Yeah.
weren't talking about what was happening
You
in
have
the
to
cartoon.
subtitle it.
So for anybody who wants to see this, so the Midnight
Yeah.
Gospel is available on Netflix.
Netflix, yes.
Okay. And Duncan Trussell is
Yeah. It's taught me a
comedian.
lot. It's taught me a lot. He is a comedian.
What is
One of my favorites, best hug I've ever received in my whole life.
Oh yeah. We saw
We did.
we met Duncan Trussell
We did,
together. We
yes.
went to a comedy show in Asheville.
Yes.
That was very
The
fun.
best hug I ever had.
Yeah.
Ever. It was just so warm and happy.
So what did you learn from Midnight Gospel? You said you learned a lot from that show. What were your takeaways from that show?
The most impactful thing that I learned is the last episode. The last episode is my absolute favorite. It taught me so much. And I'm always fascinated with birth order too. And just like how the birth order affects people later on in life. And so he learned like what I learned, it's an interview with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like very endearing, and just like you can feel the love that they have for each other, which is very beautiful. But she says at one point, she was like, yeah, you know, your brother went from being an only child to being a big brother, when in reality he's not big, he's still a child himself. So it like forces this older brother to be the big brother and to be more grown than he is. And so just to like hear that, I was like, I felt like so much empathy for my brother, because it made me like go back and realize like I didn't have my parents' expectations put upon me in the way that he had it put upon him, the way my sister had it put upon her, you know, vice versa.
So prior to that understanding, did you feel a little bit resentful for all the attention and accolades and sports ball and everything?
Not at all. No.
Or-
So 3 or 4, I have a relationship independently from all my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always, I've always been very healthy, like always communicative with all my siblings. Not the same for all of them individually. So at one,
So
like
you
I
didn't
always,
have a good
I always
tight
felt like a
relationship?
glue.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see
Kind
that.
of like keeping
Based on your
everything together
personality,
and
yeah.
just like happy and cheerful and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. And I feel like that's what made him the way that he is from such a young age. So it's like, hey, you're the big brother now. You have to help me with this. Hey, you're the big brother. You have to do this now.
Sure.
So having these things like enforced on him.
How did you view it before you had that understanding?
I didn't have any understanding.
Did you not
I was just like,
did you
why
not,
is Sean the way that he is? Like,
and you didn't love it? Like you
I didn't, like, I don't, you know, I think any 16-year-old girl loves to going to any baseball events. They have some of the best butts out there.
They like going to baseball event?
Have you seen baseball butts? Like only second to
Yeah.
soccer butts.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I try not to like live with regret or like vibrate at that frequency. You know, just everything is a learning lesson, and
Yeah, well, I was
way
just
to
trying to
learn.
get
Yeah.
the shift in perspective. I didn't really.
it was just like, wow, like, you know, he had to grow up much faster than he did. Same thing with my sister. Like she had to grow up faster. I, you know, like I said, I was born 30. So I was like, already just like, yeah, I will gladly nurture this small child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a really cool show, and you should watch it. And last 2021, I did yoga teacher training.
Yoga teacher training.
Correct.
Okay.
It's just like a yoga program.
Are you a yoga teacher yourself?
I am technically a certified yoga instructor.
Does that make you a yogi? Is that what those are called?
I think a yogi is just anybody that practices it.
Oh, okay.
Technically,
Gotcha.
I don't know. I
What
think
did
it's
you
so westernized now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really yoga is just about breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you can do breath initiated movement and just breathe and be still.
Are there any lessons you
Oh my
care to share about your
gosh.
yoga teaching experience?
It was amazing. It was the most transformative time of my whole life. I'm super grateful for it. It's beautiful. Liz Delaney of Greenville Yoga. I don't know if she wants me to like shout her out on this, but Greenville Yoga is probably one of the most like healing places in this whole entire city.
Wow.
You should check it out sometime. When I first moved here, it was hard for me to find a yoga studio, and then I walked into Greenville Yoga, and it was like a hug.
Could you
lot of great
describe it?
books.
Like, let's say, like somebody who totally unfamiliar with yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why should they do it, and what could they get out of it?
Absolutely.
If they're just kind of living their life normal and they don't,
Well, first of all, you have to find what style of yoga you like the best.
Okay.
Because there's so many. But the biggest thing in yoga is to learn how to be still and to breathe and to just stop. So, there's like really intense, like heavy flows and like, strengthening yoga. Bikram yoga. My personal favorite is yin. So yin is for every single person, and a lot of it can be like performed with your eyes closed, and it's very gentle movements. And yoga should be about breathing and resting and just being able to inhale and exhale. And so many people go through life without fully taking a breath.
Right. Not being present.
Yeah, not being present
in this moment.
Even not even knowing how to breathe. A lot of yoga teachers will be like, breathe in your belly. That's not where your breath comes from. It comes from your lungs. And so like if you start to focus on like, and you can tell people like where your bra strap would be or like where your ribs end, that's where you should really be focusing your breath. And to just take a full breath and a full exhale, it can save you so much. Like it helps to reset your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, so your rest and digest, which takes you out of fight or flight mode.
Yeah. Reduces cortisol.
Exactly.
Stress hormone.
So much. And then, yoga can help to like lubricate your muscles and your joints and release your fascia. And your fascia is like the saran wrap that holds your muscles together. Yeah. The fascia is very fascinating to me. But there's just so much physical and mental and emotional healing that can come from yoga. And just like, I read a lot of really amazing books throughout this experience. There's one called, my favorite book that I read is called The Great Work of Your Life, and it's by Stephen Cope. Okay. And it's a really cool book, and it just teaches you, well, it gives you all these examples of like famous people throughout history and how like they were so set and so passionate about what they wanted to do in their life that they sacrificed everything and became that. And so you hear like so many comedians will sacrifice everything. Like, I live in my car now and I moved here so that I can become a comedian. And it's like, Jane Goodall is an example in the book, and like how she went from this extremely supportive family. Like her mom would go out and watch gorillas with her, like, and they would just camp out in the jungle just to watch gorillas. And so like how she came from this supported family, and like how these other writers were like not supported. And so it gives you an example of like everywhere along the way of how you can make your dreams come true if you believe in it and you're willing to work for it.
Sure. So
at this point in my life, it's 21. I opened the spa in June of 2020. Perfect timing. Actually, it really benefited us in the end.
Yeah.
So it was like June of 21 at this point, and I had just read this book, and I was working a few other jobs. Like I was doing expo in a kitchen at a bar at night. And then I was also doing cosmetic sales for an organic skincare company while also running and managing and performing services at a spa. So like,
were you also doing the yoga training at this point?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't have.
So you read The Great Work of Your Life as an inspiration for like, this new venture.
Well, we had one book a month we had to read for yoga. And so this was the book that we had.
Oh, the yoga is tied to the book club.
Correct.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So, no, we just had to read a book as part of our training. And so we read this book, and it was like, sacrifice everything to make your dreams come true. And I was like, I want this fucking spa to work, so I'm going to make it happen. And so I sent out a text message. I sent out emails to all of the other jobs that I had. And I was like, hey, I can't work here anymore. I need to fulfill this. And as soon as I sent those emails, like I got like 3 bookings, like immediately. And so it was just like a way of like, hey, if you're willing to put the work in, we're going to give it to you. And yeah.
That's great.
And that was that. So
I want to ask you about that book, The Great Work of Your Life, because I I listen to a podcast sometimes called Modern Wisdom Podcast, and there was an episode recently, and I forget the name of the guest, but he talked about he studied famous entrepreneurs, and the theme of this guy's, because this guy also has a podcast, but he studies the great entrepreneurs, guys like Steve Jobs or, I don't know what other, and just the people that become ultra successful, and like what did they have to do, like what kind of work did they have to put in over time to achieve it, and it's inspiring in a sense, but there's also the other side of it, like what are you sacrificing to achieve that? So does that book that you mentioned get into that, like, if your dream is to become a famous comedian, like you mentioned, living out of your car, or to these folks, these ultra successful business people like Steve Jobs or Bezos or whoever, like they literally worked so hard that a lot of these people, you can look at their personal lives and it is a mess.
It's just
their family life is a mess. They don't have a stable, marriage, or they don't know their kids, things like that. So does it talk about the balance of,
Now that I'm thinking, like all these people were like single with no kids.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But that's also the price that they had to pay. So like maybe they decided to like, I don't want to pursue a family because I'm so dedicated to this. It's been a minute since I read the book because that was like 2 years ago. Actually, somebody has it and they need to return it to me.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
It's
I mean, I don't know. I think about those themes sometimes because I do work really hard, and I have in other areas of my life, and that's kind of the trophies you saw.
Yeah.
It's
a whole shrine in here.
I know it's very vain in a way, but it represents.
I think it's great.
To me, it represents kind of a period of time where I was doing that because total wrong reasons. I was like a little shy kid. Like I cried when I was a little kid. I was a little sensitive kid that
when
only
is the
wanted.
last time you cried?
Not long ago. I mean,
Good.
I'm pretty
Good.
I can be emotional.
I think crying is very healthy.
I think so too.
It's very cleansing.
Right. But I kind of entered more of a cutthroat sales, and your dad does sales. Like it can be kind of cutthroat, and I just wanted to be good at it. Wanted to be successful, and to me, like I was successful.
Yeah.
And I achieved those things, and I was still unhappy on the other side of it.
But you didn't feel good about it.
Very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
So like to me, some of those things are reminders of like that, and like.
I think that's great.
Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So like when you have a dream that's more healthy, okay? Like to me, when you're talking about your business, like an entrepreneurial pursuit, like you can pour your heart into that, and the work is inherently meaningful, I think.
I mean,
I'm
like,
assuming
it's crazy, like how healing just the human touches alone. It's very powerful, and like,
sure.
I mean, I have people cry all the time. Like it's just like. It's very beautiful, the space that we've created. And it's very healing. Like from the second people walk in, like literally somebody will just walk in and I'll be like, hey, how are you doing? And they'll just start sobbing. But that's so beautiful to me because they feel comfortable enough with me and in our environment that we've created for that. But I think what makes me feel so good about it is I've never... If we're not the right spot for you, I will refer you out to somebody. Like I've never been a competitive person.
Sure. So
I'm like, hey, we can all eat. We all have this,
absolutely. I love having that attitude.
Yeah, and I think it's very, very beneficial. Like when you can say like, hey, by lifting this person, we all rise.
Absolutely. And so that to me is kind of like my point about the channeling that, like the great work of your life, the ambition, the work, the consistent, like channeling it in something that's like that.
Yeah.
Because my past pursuits were not like that. But when I think about comedy, and it feels more like something where like the pie gets bigger, not small. It's not a zero-sum thing. Yeah. It's not like me against anyone else. It's like...
Honestly, that's kind of how this scene feels. This scene feels kind of like we can't expand. We can't be inclusive. I've struggled with this scene.
Oh wow, we can
Yeah.
talk about that.
I mean, we don't have to, but I think
I can be maybe oblivious to that. I don't know.
I don't know. And I've never been a part of a scene, so maybe that's you just got to pay your dues, and I don't know. I don't know what it is.
In what way do you?
I don't know. I feel like I'm a very outgoing person, and maybe it's just like.
Do you feel like opportunities haven't come as quickly as you'd like, or like, or what?
No, because I'm all very green here. I'm very green. So, and I'm fully aware of that. Like, I feel like this past week was probably one of my most solid sets, and like I felt most comfortable on stage, and like everything flowed very easily. So you got to cut your teeth. You do, and it's just been challenging. I don't know how to describe it because like I said, I've never been part of a scene.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
It's kind of clicky.
That's. Yeah, I suppose it's hard to, from an outside, like it's hard to like take yourself out of it because we're like just do it all the time, and you become friends with the people you see all the time. But I don't know. I perceive it in my own head as it's something that I get value out of any open mic I ever go to.
Absolutely.
I don't even like book shows. I don't like to be on. I mean, I will do them, but like as soon as it gets back into a booked show, it's into this competitive like ranking aspect, and I have a real aversion to it. Okay. Very much. I don't want it to be looked at as an achievement thing. Yeah,
and it should never be a competition. I don't think anything.
And I certainly don't want to exclude anyone. Yeah. Like we try to have anybody and everybody on like stuff like this or like whatever. So I'm sorry it feels that way.
I mean, it like I said, I've never been a part of a scene. I don't know if this is very much like you have to pay your dues or something like that. I don't know. But
when it comes to comedy, I know it's painfully slow when it comes to progression.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like years
this is
and
all
years.
New. Yeah. Like I went to Atlanta. I did a set.
How'd you like Laughing Skull?
I loved it. I was like, this is
such a fun room.
And then I was sitting next to this lady, and I was like, how long have you been doing comedy? Well, she was like, oh my God, are you so-and-so Neal's, And I was like, no, all my family down there is McCann. Like my mom's whole side of the family lives down there. And then Katie Hughes got up.
Oh, Cody says.
And I was like, holy shit. I was like, oh, there's a guy up in Nashville, last name Hughes. And she was like, oh, Cody. And I was like, oh, shit. And she's like, yeah, that's her brother. I think I totally insulted Cody the other night, and I didn't mean to. And she was like, I've been doing this for 5 years. And I literally was like, I would kill myself if I've been doing open mics for 5 years. And then I was like, holy shit, that's the reality. That's reality.
You don't like open mics?
No, I love open mics. I do.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, at what point is it like?
So you want it to lead to something?
I feel like I could be very successful.
Yeah.
In something.
Yeah.
Creative.
Yeah. See, I don't even really. There's a part of me that doesn't want it to lead to anything.
What, like, is it just a form of like creativity for you?
100%.
Yeah.
But I will put everything I have into it, in as honest of a way as I can, I guess.
Do you consider this a hobby? Yeah. A very aggressive hobby because I do it all the time. You do.
You know?
I wish I could make it to as many mics as y'all do. Like, I've been so proud. I've hit Coffee Underground like twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 times. I think I've done it 3 times.
Yeah.
I like that room.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It is a good room.
I mean, from everything I've listened to in terms of like, behind the scenes, like senior comics who've been doing it 20 years and are like famous talking to new comics, they say you have to get on stage at least 5-7 times a week for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And that is an obscene amount of stage time. And so
I'm developing carpal tunnel. So I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's time for something else.
Yeah.
And
with the touching people's faces.
Yes, I do aesthetics. I am a licensed esthetician. Touching people's faces.
That is
popping pimples.
Yeah.
Waxing privates.
And that's very hard on the hands.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've been doing it for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So would you rather channel all of your energy into comedy? And actually, before you answer that, I mean, I kind of wanted to ask about, because you have experience with, working with people as an esthetician, and I said it correctly.
You did great.
I'm really nervous about pronouncing it, as you can tell.
Most people think I'm an anesthetist.
Right.
And I'm like,
nurse
fucking
anesthetist. I
wish
know
I
what
was
that
an
is.
anesthetist.
Yeah, I know.
God
CRNAs, anesthesiologists,
Yeah.
CRNAs. Yeah.
I met one the other day, and she's like, "Oh my god, I get mistaken for an esthetician all the time." And I was like,
Esthetician.
we can
yeah,
trade jobs anytime you want to.
for sure.
You just trade paychecks.
But you also, as somebody who teaches yoga,
Mm-hmm.
I think about stand-up in a spiritual way sometimes as well,
Absolutely.
because whenever I have a set that goes well, it seems to be when I'm kind of detached and in the moment and
Yeah.
being honest,
fun.
and it's fun and it's
Yes.
flowing, and it's just, and you've experienced both. You've done
Absolutely.
well on stage, and you also are familiar with the spiritual aspect of yoga, breathing, all of that. What is the relationship for you between yoga and, or is there any maybe?
I feel like yoga has like definitely helped me be able to like control like the nerves like pulsing through my body, because something will arise and you'll feel it. And so like even before I get on stage, like I'll try to like go to the bathroom or something, and I'll just like bounce and shake and like pretend that there's water on my hands just to shake it all out. And that's a little Tai Chi-esque stuff in there, but it's all just energy. And so it like helps me prepare for the moment on stage and just be able to like be completely present and in this moment and have fun.
Yeah.
Because the times that I haven't had fun, it hasn't gone well on
Right.
stage and it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it feels like the audience,
they'll
respond
it's
to
all
what you
energy.
do. They're kind of dumb audiences. And
Dude,
I mean that in
there's
the
this
most
one
endearing way.
audience. I was
They're
like,
not dumb, but they'll go where you'd want them to if you lead them.
but if you feel right, like
Yes.
everything in life
If
is
you
an
feel
energetic
right.
exchange. You know what I mean? So if you
They'll
get up on
feed off
stage
what
and you're
you're-
like, I feel great. Maybe you don't feel great. I did this whole set that I thought was going to be hilarious about why I got into comedy. Totally dead. Like, but this was I structured it out. I wrote it down. I came in. I was like, pew, pew, pew. Dead crickets,
Yeah.
nothing. I even got off stage and I was like, well, clearly you guys don't know how to laugh. Laughing stimulates your vagus nerve, which is located just behind your ear. And since you don't know how to laugh, maybe try humming. And then I just like and got off the stage.
Yeah.
And that was literally, I did not go up with the intention of just like, fuck it, see what comes out. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to say this joke and it's going to land this way and this way and this way. And that was the only time I never had fun. And I was like, man, I'm never doing that again. It wasn't fun for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And people feel that. Everything in life is energy.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, we're all these just tiny little vibrating atoms.
Yeah,
that do this.
exactly.
Exactly.
At the
Yes.
subatomic level, it's just.
So I'm real big into, 90% of my, people don't come to me for skincare, okay?
They come to you for.
Because it's an experience.
Yes.
And we do, like I connect with my clients we take deep breaths together. So like we link up this way and then I do, I shake their whole body. And that helps to just remove whatever's negative, whatever they're thinking about, whatever, anything. I actually had a really beautiful encounter the other day. And this lady, she's kind of been going through things. And I just like the whole time in her session, I just kept saying like, release this, like I'll take it, release it, like I'll carry this weight in my head. This is what I kept saying. Because one time, it was like right at the beginning when I opened this business, I came out of the session and I was like, hey, the whole time I was in there, I was told to tell you you're stronger than you think you are. That woman was like, okay, never came back again. So I was like, okay, I'm just not going to tell people like the messages that come.
You're just going to think them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was like, because clearly I'm scaring the shit out of my clients. And so I just kept saying like, I'll take it. Like, let me hold it. I'll take this weight off of you.
Wow.
And I got out of that session and I couldn't catch my breath, like to save my life. Like I couldn't breathe.
Because you'd taken it on.
And I was like, wow, I'm so glad she doesn't have to walk around with that anymore. You know what I mean? But like I can.
You ever seen Green Mile?
I'm so terrible. I've never seen like any of the Lord of the Rings or Harry Potters or.
Well, Green Mile is the story of the men on death row who are going to get the electric chair.
Hanks,
yeah. And the inmate Michael Clark Duncan, the big black guy.
With the mouse.
He has this spiritual.
Yes.
Yeah, and he takes on.
Absolutely.
When he heals someone, he'll take on and then he's like.
Yep.
In real bad shape, and then he has to like spit it out, and it's all the bugs that come out of his mouth.
Yeah,
that's what just reminded me of.
That's how I feel, and like I literally like
of.
You go outside, you touch some nature, and you be in like every Sunday. I have to go for a hike, and that's just like cleansing to me, like just to be in the forest, be around trees.
Yeah,
and
I hear that about therapists too. Like they need
to
release the emotional weight that they're taking on just by listening.
Yeah, and so this is actually okay. So like some girls are like. Horoscopes. My mom was like, "That's the devil. Don't ever." So I'm like, I'm still scared to like read into horoscopes and stuff because like there's always like that crazy bitch in the back of my head that's like, "I'm your mother." But I would much rather like. This is so creepy. I would much rather like listen to like what nature presents me with and or angel numbers. So when you text me, 666, I was like. Oh shit, like it's telling you to refocus in whatever your sights are on right now. You need to keep following through. So I was like, oh shit, I'm coming here for a comedy podcast. Like that's so fucking wild.
So 666 doesn't only mean the devil.
It's not the mark of the beast.
I was paranoid about moving here because that is the unit number.
No, it's you should look it up. 666 angel number. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. But also like what animals show up in your life. Like animals will like show you things.
Interesting.
Along
Could you
the way.
explain that?
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's called Animals Speak by Ted Andrews. You should check
Animals
it out.
Speak.
I'm basically just a library in case you haven't
amazing.
realized.
I dig it.
It's a really quick read too. Easy peasy. It's like basically this tale of like it's like this. The most of it is like this Native American tale about how these kids like turn into a hawk. And they like fly too close to somewhere they weren't told to, so then they get their privileges taken away. But then they like learn how to communicate with animals and like how animals are like spirits from the beyond that will like teach you things along the way.
Interesting.
And so for the past week, there has been ladybugs in my bedroom.
Okay.
And so most people think ladybugs are about like luck. But ladybugs actually absorb like negative things and carry it for people who can't. So it was just like this really beautiful, like full circle moment that I had this week. And I was like, wow.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
So the ladybugs were coming to take on.
They're just coming to take my stuff that I was holding for others. And
so that's what ladybugs are symbolically.
Yeah, they're
known
just like
for.
luck, but also they'll like take brunt force of nonsense poopy pants.
Okay.
And I've been going through it this past 6 months. Yeah, we've been going through it.
Yeah.
So when I ask you to edit out that part, I mean it.
Sure.
Yeah.
It will be edited.
Yeah. But yeah. No,
so what are some other animal symbolism from that book?
So groundhogs.
Okay.
They're
pretty cute.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is what the book teaches you. The book teaches you to look at the characteristic of an animal. Is there a specific animal that stands out to you or you feel called to?
Cats.
Cats.
In the last couple of years, because I never was a cat person.
Okay.
And I mean, it's basic to say cats or dogs.
My cat fetches.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cute. I
So
love
cute.
that. I love when a
Me
cat will
too.
fetch.
Somebody just gave me this cat and I was like, I'll take it. And then I just threw his toy one day and he brought it back to me.
Or just pets in general. Like, I feel like I can kind of... I try to, like... I want to be a pet whisperer. So, like, I want to, like, connect with the pet. So, I want to, like, kind of see them.
Yeah.
And
Well,
in a way, and when I started not trying too hard with cats, I felt like they would kind of
That's
warm up
the
a
number one
little
rule.
bit.
Cats are women.
Yes.
Ignore them. I have a whole set about
Mm-hmm.
how cats are like women.
And if they come to you, then sure.
Yeah.
But don't.
Well, listen, you're welcome. Cat would love you because you're a man. I don't know what it is about men, but he'll literally just like,
This is your cat?
yeah.
What's
His name's Cat.
his name is Cat?
He came named.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's maybe more like a Clyde or like a
Yeah.
Simon or something, but he's Siamese, so I feel like Simon would be
Yeah.
cliche.
Sure.
Okay, so Cat.
Yeah.
What characteristics do you think of when you think of a cat?
They're kind of standoffish. They're like they like preen themselves. They like are very I don't know, hygienic. Is that what you want to say?
I think independent.
Independent.
Yeah. They have this really cool thing with their spine that will always make sure that they land on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you just like find these characteristics. So clearly you're being called to some form of like independence or, cleanliness, hygienic. So it is. So like even like groundhogs.
Yeah.
You always see them like working, building, so they represent like hard work. Deer, predominantly female, like they represent a family structure as a maternal side.
Yeah, I heard this is a Bible connector. It's a Jewish, I don't know what you want to call it, proverb maybe, where they said you should approach the future like a deer, gently moving forward without looking too far to the side or back, and into the land of milk and honey, which symbolizes fertility and prosperity and good prosperity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
nudging forward into the
anytime you
future.
see a deer, you can be like, oh my gosh, like I'm into the land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
I'm on to prosperity.
Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Last night I had a dream about I was riding a bike through like
I love dreams.
the mountain. I haven't had a dream in a minute.
Yeah.
But they say that you don't really have dreams when you smoke weed.
You don't have dreams?
Yeah, you don't have dreams when you smoke.
Really?
Yeah. And so like if you go a few days without smoking, you'll have some very vivid dreams.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I was riding a bike through the mountains and I just like got to this place and it was just covered in animals. And I got so scared for a minute because I was like, holy shit, that's a mama black bear. And I got so scared. And then there was a black panther and I need to look it up, but I know like bears also like a very strong maternal representation in Native American cultural. It's like a
mama bear,
female, bear energy. Yeah, so I gotta like look more into that, do some research because I'm like, oh god,
what other animals were there?
what does that mean? There's a panther, there's some deer.
Panther.
It was all very maternal, which I was like, Jesus fuck, I just did a whole set about front kicking a child.
Yeah.
Yikes. So yeah, no, it's very beautiful. Animal Speak, Ted Andrews. May he rest in peace. Yeah, it's a cool book. And then when you like just start looking in, so like my biggest totem, like one of the animals that I identify with are red-tailed hawks.
Okay. What's about them?
Yeah, so we're actually in their like migratory area. So they're very common in this area. But the way that I see red-tailed hawks, like if I could be any animal, I would be a bird. Just like they just look so free and so happy, like especially if they catch like an airstream and they just get to like, it just looks so serene to me. They can be anywhere they wanted to in the world. You know what I mean? I think they just represent freedom, but it's also somebody's like looking over me. Like I feel very safe. So anytime I get in my car and I start driving, I like just always, if I will always see a hawk. Like, and I'm like, yes, I know. I just told you we're on their migratory path, but it just feels good. Like it feels like I'm safe, I'm protected. Like somebody's watching over me. And like, I know I'll just be like, I'll have an idea. Like say I'm outside and like this idea or this joke pops into I wrote a joke today and it just popped into my head and I was like, oh, I got to write this down. And you just hear this red-tailed hawk just go crazy. Couldn't see it, nothing. And it just was like, off in the distance somewhere. And I was like, okay, that is a funny joke.
Yeah. So that's like maybe your muse of joke creativity.
It's just kind of like, hey, You got it. So it's just an animal that like speaks to me and makes me feel safe and like I have clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Do I
love that.
sound batshit crazy to you?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well,
No.
it's a good book.
No, I totally relate to animals. I don't know that I've ever thought about the direct symbolism of as they cross my path. But.
And the way that you look at them. Okay, so here's an example.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, I moved here, and it was Halloween of 2000. Oh gosh, that's so fucking funny to me. Because I'm about to tell you a story about this exact person. His last name is the same. Met this guy, dated this guy, ruined my life for a year and a half. Moral of the story: don't date a drummer. Don't do it.
Okay.
Okay. My best gal, Nicole, she was moving to China. So this is 2019. She was moving to China to teach English. And
cool.
Yeah. And so she was packing all of her stuff up in Greenwood. So I literally put Animal Speak on. First time I ever read this book. Put Animal Speak on. And it was an audiobook, and I drove to Greenwood. So by the time that I went to Greenwood and back, I completed the book, and I like went and I like packed all of her stuff up, and I was supposed to spend the night there, and I was like, Nicole, something's not right. I don't feel good. Like I need to go home. Something is pulling me to my house. And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, yep, totally fine. So then I put the audiobook, drove home, and I hate slugs like more than anything in the world. Slugs.
Yeah.
And I always think of like salt the snail, you know. Have you ever put salt on a slug?
No, I didn't want to stop your story,
No.
but I didn't know what that meant. Salt the slug?
Oh,
Is that
salt
what
the
kills
snail.
them?
It's
Salt
from
the snail?
It's from Always Sunny.
Oh.
You know, they're like salt the snail, salt the snail.
Does it kill them if you put salt on them?
It does. Yeah, it like dehydrates them.
Oh, that's mean.
It's terrible.
That's so mean.
As a young child, I was wearing.
Yeah, because they're so gooey. They're probably like, oh, salt. No.
Yeah.
I'm melting.
So I drove home, parked my car, and there was this giant fucking slug outside of the house that I was living at. And so I just finished this book, and I said, okay, what are the characteristics of a slug? So I like looked at the slug, and I was like, it's slimy, it's gross, and it leaves a trail in its path. Okay. I had just bought this brand new cream-colored couch. It was gorgeous. It's like a giant, oversized 3-seater with a chase lounge. This is the first brand new couch I ever bought myself. Because like when I moved here, I didn't have anything. Like people just gave me things. So I went balls to the wall and could finally afford a couch. So I opened my door, and there was vomit everywhere. Like from my front door, all over my cream-colored couch, down my hallway into my bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like shaking. And I was like, this fucking slug tried to tell me. You know what I mean? Because I was like, it's slimy. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I hate it. It leaves the trail in its path. And I was like, hey, you got to get out of my house. This guy had projectile vomited.
The guy was a slug.
He was
Salt
a slug.
the guy.
Salt the snail.
Salt the snail.
He got salted.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And then the next day I was like, I'm so unhappy. And so I drove my ass.
This was the 1.5 guy who wasted your life, the drummer.
That's the one. Yep. It's okay. I was subject myself to the suffering. So learned a lot. The next day I went to Jones Gap State Park, which the waters there are healing. Have you ever been there?
No.
Whew, you got to go.
Okay.
It's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite places.
Where is it?
Jones Gap State Park.
Jones Gap State Park. Is it
Yep.
nearby?
Yeah, you just go past TR, and it's
Okay.
like maybe 15 minutes past TR.
Dude, there's so much nature I have not experienced.
Oh my gosh.
Having lived here 3 years.
One of the best things I ever did, $99 a month, State Park Pass.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding you.
Okay.
You can buy it at Paris Mountain. Have you ever been to Paris Mountain?
No.
Jesus Christ,
I
David.
know.
It's right there.
like
You
nature.
can see it.
I don't like nature.
Why don't you like nature? What is
Oh, I don't know.
it? Okay.
I get hungry and then I'm like, I want to go home.
Okay. Well, you can like
I'm
pack a
basic.
backpack or.
No, I do love it when I'm forced to. Like when I go out with friends who do it, I'm like, this is great. It's just not my first choice of a thing. But
Well, I went to Jones Gap and I was like, I'm going to lay my ass in this water because it's beautiful. And so I did. I like bopped out and I like looked.
this is the day after the vomiting incident?
Correct.
Okay.
And I like look and I see, and there's this beautiful like moss covered boulder. And I was like, I want to sit on that boulder. So I like
Mhm.
sat on this boulder. And as soon as I sit down, a monarch butterfly just comes and lands right next to me. And my mom always told me monarch butterflies remind her of her mother, who she died when I was 10. She had Parkinson's. And I was just like bathing in the sunshine and just like resetting everything. And I was just like, I have to get rid of this man. And a butterfly just came and landed on me. And I was like, fucking universe is telling me
For sure.
it's time. And then I got
And a
in
butterfly is very symbolic.
the butterfly is.
That's
They don't
kind
have
of-
a long lifespan.
mm-hmm.
You know, they have a long migratory path.
Mm-hmm. And they
They transform.
transform. The
It's transformative.
symbol of transformation and
Absolutely.
rebirth or resurrect, whatever.
Yeah. So then the next 8 months, I continued to date this man.
So it took a little while for it to sink in, but eventually salted the snail.
No. He knew.
Yeah.
Eventually, we sold to the snail. But I'm like super grateful because I have this amazing superpower that once I stop dating people, they move out of the state.
Ooh.
I know. I'm 4 for 4.
Interesting.
We got Memphis, Chicago, Virginia Beach,
They don't want anything to do with you. Holy
and
cow.
New Orleans.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 for 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
So look out.
This is my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you should definitely go to Jones Gap.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not super naturey, Jones Gap is perfect
Mm-hmm.
because you literally just park, and then there's like a little mock hike that you can
Mm-hmm.
go to, and then you walk over a bridge and you can just hang out there. It's a hatchery. You can see some beautiful rainbow trout in the summertime.
Mm-hmm. I do love water. Water is my one of my favorite
Me too.
like natural bodies of water.
Mhm.
Oceans and big lakes. So have you ever been to the Midwest?
I've been to Arizona.
Oh,
So,
that's not the Midwest.
No, that's the farthest I've ever been.
But
And-
not north.
And
so you haven't-
Hawaii.
So
That's it.
So Hawaii's amazing.
Hawaii's pretty cool.
I've never been to Hawaii. I was supposed to go, but
Mm.
trip got canceled because of COVID.
Oh, listen, I was dating Brian, the genetic scientist.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, we're going to go to Hawaii and then I'm going to break up. Like, I'm going to get this trip.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Sugar daddy trip. Do
Psh.
it.
I had to pay for my own flight.
Okay.
No.
Mind. Sorry.
She ain't never had a sugar daddy.
Yeah. Well, so I have a thing of Michigan back there.
Okay.
So have you ever looked at the mitten on the map?
I've never looked at the mitten.
So my folks live. See it says latitude 42 or attitude 42 there, lower left, on the coast. That's where my hometown is. That's where
Wow.
my family lives.
Okay, so right on the lake.
Right on the lake, and that's a
Beautiful.
big body of water.
No,
So
not
it's-
at all.
It's like an ocean.
Yeah.
And for some reason we moved. I was in Wisconsin through middle school, and then when I went to high school we moved there.
Wow.
So I guess it wasn't my hometown since birth, but
It's beautiful.
I remember swimming in Lake Michigan.
Mm.
Like I didn't have any friends or anything, and I was nervous about the future. But there was something calming about
Absolutely.
it's the cool thing about it is I don't really love salt water because you
Mm.
kind of have to like make sure you don't
Yeah.
get it in your nose or eyes and irritates you and stuff. But like Michigan is all fresh water,
Beautiful.
and there's these beautiful like the shoreline is wooded, but there's also these big sand dunes. So if you're
Wow.
coming off the water, like it just looks like beautiful sandy beaches and sand dunes really high up,
Wow.
and it's very blue. It's like probably not quite as blue as the Gulf, but
Mm.
close. And there was just something so peaceful about like at sunset jumping in the water and
Wow,
swimming
I
out,
can
and
only
like
imagine.
you can't drink it,
Yeah.
but almost feels like you
I feel
could.
like you can drink anything you want to.
You could drink it.
Survival
I mean,
is a different.
it's clean. It's not like there's a power plant next to it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like it's pretty clean. And it's
You mean like all of our lakes here that are made by power plants?
yeah, I don't feel quite as refreshed at the lakes here. Although they are very great.
Have you
I
been
like
to Joe Cassie?
yes.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Kiwi I go a lot cuz my
Kiwi's
friend
nice.
Charlie has a little fishing boat, so we
Heck
go
yeah.
out. But yeah, water and nature. Like I
amazing.
very much feel at home in the water, and I think it's because my grandparents got a pool when I was a baby.
Mm.
So I grew up swimming constantly in the
Absolutely.
summer, and a lot of good
Yeah.
vibes from that.
They're
But
the favorite, like, there's a few things that I just like. always think of my mother, and it's always water. Like she gave me such a love for water.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize it until my nephew was born,
Mm-hmm.
and he was so little. He wasn't. He had this big old fat baby. He was
Yeah.
so cute. And my brother lived in Wilmington, North Carolina at the time, and it was just my brother, his wife, my nephew, and my mom and I. We all went to the beach one day, and it was so cool because like you could like drive your car up on the beach. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Which beach?
I don't know.
Daytona Beach. You drive on the car.
Somewhere up in Wilmington.
Wilmington. Oh, Wilmington.
Wilmington, North Carolina.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
Where
I
grew up
love
going to
Wilmington
Topsail
Beach.
Island out there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, my parents spoiled us with the beach, and so
Yeah.
my dad called me the other day and was like, "Hey, if I get a house, y'all coming?" And I said, "Dad, I don't mean to be a princess, but like, if you don't get a house on the fucking beach, we'll be super upset." And he's
Yeah.
like, "There's the only way to do it." And I was like, "Great, because
They're
you made me this monster."
They're like $20 million.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. They're exactly. So we were all. It was my brother, my sister-in-law, and I. We were all, and my mom was on the shore with the baby,
Mhm.
and I was like, Jess, Mom wants nothing more than to bring him out into the ocean. And she was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure she wants to do that? I was like, more than anything in the whole world. And so just to like see how like calm my mom was with like a full baby strapped to her chest, like
Yeah.
in the ocean, I was like, wow.
How old was the baby at this point?
Oh, me like 2 or 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
Baby, like infant.
What did the
he
baby?
was born in March. Loved it.
Was he like, ah?
He was so happy, and like she dove under waves with him, and he would just come up and like initially be a little startled because like salt water.
Uh-huh.
Loved it, and then they moved away and had my niece. Took her to the beach. Hated everything about it.
Yeah.
Hated the sand. Hated the sound. Like she's very sensory,
Uh-huh.
and I was just like, oh man. Like I was like, that woman made us love the ocean. And so after living here for many years, because when you have a state park pass, you can just beep bop anywhere. So this past summer, I bought a paddleboard, and I just hang out at Jocassee all the time because it's beautiful, and it's just nested between all those mountains. Also very blue water.
Yeah.
Because it's Jocassee, Kiwi, Chartwell. You know.
Chartwell.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time like in rivers and lakes. And
Yeah.
it's my favorite. I'm probably riddled with parasites, but worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to my sister and I went to Carolina Beach this year, and it was great. Loved it, But I was just like, wow, like I feel way more called to lakes and rivers now than I do to the ocean.
Interesting.
Which I was like, wow, who knew?
Yeah.
I think it's just so much more calming.
Mm-hmm.
Rivers and lakes.
Yeah. The sound of a
Because
of
the
a
chaos
stream
of the
or-
ocean is,
Yeah, it's kind of
it can be a
overwhelming.
little,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah. I like Lake Michigan like that too, because they're not really tides like the ocean. They do get big waves when it's real windy, but a lot of times it's pretty chill.
Yeah.
It's not like, I guess people die on piers in Lake Michigan all the time when the weather's bad. Like
Yeah.
kids jump in and then they,
wow.
they get,
No, you've inspired me to go to Michigan.
but it's generally not that bad. And,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lake Powell out in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
So like if I travel,
So you mentioned Arizona before. Have you ever lived out there?
that's like goals.
Goals. I
Oh.
just came back from Arizona. I had a sales trip
amazing.
there.
Where'd you go?
Scottsdale.
Okay.
And I know.
Fancy man.
I know. Ugh. Sorry.
Are you okay?
This gets back to the trophy mantle.
Oh, congratulations.
No, that's not what I'm going for. That's not at all where I'm going. It's we could go down this path for a second if you
Okay.
care to
We're here.
indulge me.
Well, why
but,
not?
Arizona's beautiful, but
It's gorgeous.
these meetings, very, very, very extravagant. Like
Scottsdale, Arizona is
Scottsdale itself is
money.
extravagant. Money,
Yes,
money, money.
money.
And we have this event for celebrating the sales force, and these guys, it's at my company. The sales reps are the kingpins of the company. They bring in the sales,
money
they
makers.
make the money,
Yeah, absolutely.
and you get to see on full display the egos of the sales force. My current business unit does not have as big of egos, but each division has a little different personality. So it's this massive resort. There's a beautiful golf course in the back. There's these massive like event halls with these stages that look like a Lady Gaga concert.
Love
It is like over the top, right?
Have you been to a Lady Gaga concert?
No, but that was just a metaphor
Okay.
I'd use. But it's not quite that, but it's like a rock concert. I mean, it is crazy, and I have an aversion to it now because I've been to this company 11 years.
Wow.
When I started, I looked at these sales reps as larger than life figures. They were like they were like professional athletes to me. I wanted to do that. And then I kind of saw it from a different light, and the over the top extravagance of it to me seemed, unnecessary and also just silly, and kind of sad in a way.
Was this the first year you had this realization, or had you kind of like been
I've
moving to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think since I stopped drinking, started comedy a few years ago, I kind of let go of a lot of it because I was trying to live up to the approval of the image of that type of success forever.
Yeah.
But the reason this particular visit a few days ago was so hit me like it did, I think, was because we have not had a meeting since January of 2020, which was before I had kind of done all that. And because of COVID, we canceled it last year, and then, the year before we didn't have it. So I was at the same hotel that I'd been at 10 years ago, and I was walking through the same hallways, and I remember where I was standing when I was having that awkward conversation with this sales rep I looked up to, or like when I got my first quote, and I was like, "Yay, I did it!" And I have a lot of good memories with it too, but it was also like, man, I held that way too closely, and also, yeah. So I kind of have an aversion to, and still being at the company, I still love the company. I just think there's more meaningful things,
Absolutely.
and like the people there are still all amazing human beings, and your identity shouldn't be based on hitting a quota.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like that. It's so cutthroat that if you don't hit the quota, you're fired.
Wow.
So, and if you do hit it, you're a hero.
Yeah.
So it's very stressful and very taxing on people, and it's a little unusual. The culture is. Sometimes I tell Tucker Lawson.
Yes.
Yeah, I was explaining some of this to him one time. And I thought maybe he'd be like, "Oh, that's cool," but he's like, "That sounds really dystopian." Was the word he used, and I was like, "You know what? You are 100% right."
Yeah.
And I'm grateful, to be.
See, I always thought like I wanted to do that with a cosmetic company. And then I was like, no, I don't.
To have that type of
I want to
culture.
sleep in my own bed, and like I want to do all of this. But see, I've also like never been the person to like have idols or like put people on pedestals ever, which is crazy to me. Like I will never understand the whole Kardashian thing, or like even Marilyn Monroe, or any of those. I don't understand looking up to people. Is that, I don't know. It's always been challenging for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And
I think I like having heroes and role models, but it can get unhealthy.
Yeah, and I think role models is a great place. But like to like put these people like on pedestals or like model your entire life.
Sure.
But I think it's great to like have mentors and role models, and
I like to admire people for the right
things.
Yeah. And that's why, sports ball. I do. Let me sell you on athletes really quick. Can I sell you on athletes?
Wait, let's go back to Arizona.
Oh yeah, Arizona.
Lake Powell.
Page,
Arizona.
Okay.
Do it. It's amazing.
How far away? The only major thing I know is the Scottsdale, Phoenix area.
Okay. Phoenix is like a 3.5 hour drive north, and you go through Sedona, and Sedona is stunning. So like you're driving, and it's all red clay and cacti, and it's gorgeous. And then you like go up this mountain, and it's just like lush, green, beautiful forests, and that's Sedona. It's like 10 degrees cooler. It's beautiful. And then you go back down the mountain, and then you'll end up in Page. And Page is predominantly like Navajo reservation. So I ended up staying at an Airbnb and like some like RV. And I just like pulled the pads out of the RV, and I laid down and I slept under the stars. It was gorgeous. It was September, and then woke up the next morning and then kayaked through Lake Powell to Antelope Canyon and like hiked this beautiful canyon. And it's like those like sand.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. You should go. It's on one side of Lake Powell is Arizona and the other side's Utah.
Oh,
And
wow.
It's so pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can hit like Horseshoe Bend, which is right there too. I was there for 3 days, and it was
Yeah.
just like, it was a whirlwind because like we
Who'd
arrived.
you go with? Did you go with friends?
So when I lived in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
I worked for Massage Envy for many, many moons.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend Martin was a massage therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and he was doing massage therapy to pay his way through nursing school.
Okay.
And so he ended up becoming a travel nurse.
That's a good gig.
Yeah, great gig.
Travel nursing's awesome.
Yeah, he was like, hey,
Also money. That's
yes,
good.
and it was 2020, so it was just like,
Oh, printing money. in
yeah, he
2020.
was just like,
holy
cha-ching.
crap.
And so I was like, hey, but like, when are you ever and he was like, I don't want to come back to the South right now, which I was like, heard. 'Cause
Yeah.
2020 was not a great year
Uh-huh.
for people that weren't white. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to go back to the South, but you're welcome to come here. And I was like, don't tell me what the good time. He was like, psh, come on over. So, yeah, I just went and hung out with him, and we literally just like hit it. We couldn't do the Grand Canyon because he was taking his family there.
Yeah.
And so we just like did this World War tour, and then he dropped me back off. And
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah. I've never seen the Grand Canyon.
Me either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's plan a trip. Let's do.
I'm down.
Because Phoenix is a huge comedy scene.
Interesting.
Huge comedy
See,
scene.
I wasn't aware of that.
Massive.
My
Tom
friend
Segura
lives-
just did a Christmas special there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend who got away lives there now. I found out.
Wow.
I found out the other day too.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Is she there for comedy?
No. No.
Why do you portray her as the one that got away?
Oh, let's talk about this.
I mean, we just dove into like all of my shitty relationships.
Yeah, sure. So, Erica, she was amazing.
Okay.
I met her at my company when I was an analyst. We were both working in cubicles, and she was so beautiful. I didn't think there was any chance she would even like me. But we'd go get sodas together because there was like a little like cafeteria where you could get free soda, and like I'd see her there. And then we'd have a little office messenger, so sometimes we'd message each other.
Do you want to get a soda?
yeah.
Or do you
Or we
call him
work-
Pop?
We call it pop up there.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a pop.
I knew it.
Yeah, you knew it.
Fucking knew it.
It's been a while since I've called pop. And she was dating somebody at the time, but she didn't feel right about that relationship. They broke up, and then we started dating, and yeah, I couldn't believe it. And actually, nobody else could either. They're like, "Why is she with David?" She's so gorgeous. She's so sweet. She was so fun, and you know, I think that's probably the first girl I could say like I love you to, and
Wow.
yeah. But I think that I was the knucklehead that messed it up, and it was kind of because I wanted to do sales. I wanted to be that douchey guy walking across the state.
It wasn't Overwatch.
It wasn't Overwatch.
Wow,
My
congratulations.
Overwatch was being a salesman.
Was running around and getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I moved to Charlotte. So this was the same year you had moved to Greenville. I think it was It was
Wow.
like March of 2014.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I moved from Charlotte to to Clemson. In
Yeah,
June-
I might have met you had you
June
stayed.
of 2014.
I
No.
might have met you if you ever played, I don't know, a kickball league or anything, because that was how I made friends.
No.
But yeah, so I moved away, and that was what ended the relationship. And ultimately, I was like, I just didn't know. And she was a couple years older. I think she would have maybe wanted to settle down, get married, and I wasn't there. And
Yeah.
I was selfish because of that. I mean, I definitely, I don't know. I feel like I have similar trends in my life today where I feel like I had a group of friends too that she wasn't necessarily a direct part of, and I would like to spend time with those friends. And I kind of equate that with comedy friends too. Like that's like a safe space,
Absolutely.
but a relationship coming into that is not always gonna like.
But I
mesh.
think there's a healthy balance of like, that's like your escape. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's your space. That's your time. That's your time to be. I think that's healthy.
I feel like I can be myself in
Yeah.
that space. That's why.
And it's just different, because you
Yeah.
can still be yourself with her. It's just a different being yourself. Does that make sense?
For sure.
I think it's important to like in a relationship to have that space,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like have that time apart. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's very healthy.
For sure. And I don't know. I think at a certain point I was just too afraid to commit all into that one.
Yeah.
So, but
that's okay.
love her to death. She's
Yeah.
now married with a couple of kids.
Wow.
And I just found out she works at my company again.
Wow.
So.
Oh, was
If
she
she
at
ever-
the conference?
She wasn't. But this is how I found out she still works there.
Mm-hmm.
My brother sent
Does
a
she
LinkedIn
work for the
post.
company too?
Yeah. He is about to experience some shit, by the way. As a rep, like going through
Okay.
this stress
Yeah.
and figuring himself out.
Do
I'm
you
just
have
so
to like,
excited.
is rep like where you start and then you end up where you are now?
No, I had to
Oh.
sacrifice a lot to become a rep. I got turned down 3
Wow.
times to get one.
And then you were just like, hey, I got this guy.
Yeah.
And he got the job.
My little brother.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had to get it on his own. I mean, I
Okay.
recommended him, but
Gotcha. He
there's
still
a
had
very
to
strenuous interview
audition
process.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I found out that my ex works there because my brother sent an internship post to my cousin, like, "Hey, you want to work for us? Like, here's the internship post." And I looked at it and I was like, "Erica posted this? She works with us again?"
They're just sobbing, eating chocolate.
No. It's, I loved that we dated.
That's
It was so
awesome.
sweet. But
Okay.
and I'm glad she's happy. Although if she
Yeah.
got divorced, I'd definitely hit her up.
Okay. There's still hope. Or just, drive a wedge between that marriage, David.
Yes, Erica, if you're
Are you ready to
watching
be a step
come
parent?
back to me. I'm just kidding.
You ready to be a bonus parent in some children's lives?
What?
I said, are you ready to be a bonus parent in some children's lives?
Probably not.
I don't know.
If that all happened, we'd like start. When we
You'd just
started
be like,
dating,
get
I'd
rid
be
of
like-
those.
I'd
Let's
be
make
like,
our own.
No, I'd be like, I can't do it again. She'd be like, what? Are you still a child? Yes, I am. Sorry.
Babies raising babies.
Exactly. No, well, thank you for letting me tell that story. That
Oh my
was,
gosh. Thanks for sharing it with me. I
Yeah.
hope that you recover well. And,
Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm fine from that. It's great.
it's okay. You learn something from every relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all you can know.
Absolutely.
Do you eventually want to settle down and have children?
Absolutely.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Don't say that.
No, it's not any type of stab or anything.
No, I know.
It's just
Based on my
more
current
like,
lifestyle, I could see how that answer might be surprising.
not at all. It's just
But
people that still want to have children blow my mind.
yeah, I think my thought about that was I saw my brother over Christmas and his 3 daughters and my nieces. They were always so young and I haven't seen him a lot. So this was the first Christmas that I spent with them where we like bonded
Yeah.
and played
It's
and like
fun.
and I felt them kind of opening up a little bit to be not
Yeah.
as scared or reserved around me, but like we were building Legos and I
That's
saw their
awesome.
personalities come
Yeah.
out.
How old are they?
3, 2, and 1. They're pretty close
Oh,
together.
Yeah, that's funny.
And they like copy each other.
Yup.
And like Reagan tries to be like Carly, and then Piper is like
great
just
names.
waddling around.
Yeah.
And they made like my sister-in-law made the mistake of letting the uncles play with them downstairs without mom around.
Oh God.
So we riled them up.
Okay.
And we were just
I thought this was going somewhere totally different, David. I was like, I
what?
don't
No.
want to
Like,
hear about pedophilia right now.
oh, please don't say that in the same sentence as my nieces.
It's
Aw.
always someone they trust.
Well, oh my God. Okay. Well,
Okay. Well,
we were.
yep.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
And,
You're just Hype City.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we were just running all over. Like they like to be chased.
That's awesome.
So
This is still not looking good for you.
and we took a mattress and rode it down the stairs.
Hell yeah.
And they were like on the pool table, like
Oh,
standing on it. And they're like,
sweet.
we're not supposed to be on the pool table. But yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
When my brother had my nephew, it felt like my whole heart was ripped out and then put on legs.
Really?
He is like the sweetest, softest little thing in the whole world.
Uh-huh.
And then they had my niece, and she is like hell on wheels. And I was
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, girl, let's fuck it up together. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so excited to watch her grow up. And they're like absolutely gorgeous children. And I was staring at them in September. That was the last time I've seen them.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, Sean, I can't believe you made beautiful babies. Like, they're
Uh-huh.
gorgeous. They're so pretty. Like, I mean, his wife's stunning.
Yeah.
And they're such good kids. And I love them so much. And I haven't been home for Christmas in 3 years. It's just,
Timing thing, or you don't want to go home?
it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah. in my older age, I've become more selfish with my time.
Sure.
And
As you should.
Yeah, I think it's healthy.
You're your own person. Yeah.
And like, it's instantly like 35 people anytime I go home, and like I do people all day long, and
a lot,
we're
yeah.
typically open because Christmas Eve is huge gift card sales day, and they live 4 hours away, and then I'd have to turn around and drive back. And it's just, it sounds really shitty. I know it sounds shitty, but my sister would FaceTime me, and she's like, I just want to let you know that keep asking when you're coming, and I was like, just keep calling me, it's fine.
Aww.
So I gotta go see them.
You need to.
I do.
How old are they now?
My nephew McCann is 4, and my niece is her name's Addie. She is 3.
Oh.
Yeah, and she's like, she'll be sitting on my lap, and her mom is just like, God damn it. She would never say God damn it, but she'd be like, she's like, I mean, she looks just like you. Like she's like somebody just like
blue
put
eyes.
my face on her.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah, she's beautiful. She's a really cutie girl.
That's great.
She's my best friend.
Yeah, so I
They're
guess
such good kids.
I was in the minivan with them, and we were watching like Peanuts, like Charles Schultz stuff, and on the way to this thing. And I don't know, I felt like I was getting a behind the scenes look at what the day to day of parenting is like.
Exhausting.
And very exhausting, but also kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of growing up with my siblings.
Yeah.
And like it seems like something that I would want,
Yeah.
not something that I was,
Absolutely.
So it's kind of interesting,
Yeah, 3 girls though. Teenagers.
I know. That'd be wild.
Once they get Bluetooth connected, man.
Yeah, you might never see them. They've shut the door to their room and they don't want to talk to dad anymore.
I can't imagine 4 women menstruating at the same time.
Whew.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
That Bluetooth, it happens. It's synced up, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
They go through the code red.
Code red.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I know. Look at us.
Look
Bringing
at
it
us.
full circle.
Full circle. She also has another really good book that's called Love Your Lady Landscape, in case you ever need to.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so growing up, super Catholic, my parents were like, don't date until you're married. Don't have sex till you're married.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the mentality that we grew up in.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, not a lot of people know anything about the female body.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear a really funny story?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Are you debating sharing this?
I know. I was like, God damn it! Why did I say this?
If anybody's still listening at this point, they're on board. So
They've
just go
way
ahead.
turned this off by now.
No, I think it's good.
So, we didn't grow up knowing how to insert tampons because it was like, don't do it. So my sister had to teach my mom how to later on in life. Mm-hmm. And now it's come full circle, and I'm just like, oh, let me experience not using this. And so I bought period panties, which is a thing.
Oh my God.
This is so fucked up. And please edit this out. But I'm in it. I'm committed now. And so, God damn it. Yeah, let's just not. I'm good. Well,
you want to stop this one?
God, fuck. Okay, so I had these panties on, and something happened, and the man that I'm currently dating, he was like, wow, I can't get over. It was like the next morning, and I like had these like crazy ass granny panties on because they absorb
2
tampons worth of blood.
Okay.
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 Which is about 16 hours of protection. Okay. And it is about 4 tablespoons.
Okay.
And he was like, wow, I still can't get over that those underwear hold 2 gallons worth of blood.
2 gallons?
And
How much blood does he think we have?
How much blood do you think is in the human body?
Right.
Let alone that I bleed out of me once a month.
Yeah. This is how clueless guys are.
This is how clueless.
That's why I think that's not bad to include.
And thank you.
Informative.
Thank you so much. My dad's always like, God damn it. All we do is talk about boobs and periods. And I'm like, good.
Yeah,
They need to be more informed about it.
Mm-hmm.
So the average human body has 1.5 gallons of blood in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I really wish men would stop making laws about my body.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my really embarrassing period story.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's pretty tame, actually. We could end on that note. Do you want to?
I mean,
do you know how long we?
if you're done talking about periods,
That was really why I wanted to have you on. I
Yeah.
didn't get enough out of health class. I really needed education.
But okay, so come in full circle. We didn't know any of this also. Like I as a 30-year-old woman, I've had to start learning about this myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Knowledge is power.
It is
The more
power.
you know. Mm-hmm.
The more you know.
So how do you feel about comedy? Let's talk about that to close.
Oh my gosh, this is a comedy podcast.
This is a comedy podcast. Yeah.
I love it.
How long has it been? When was your first mic to now? I'm
My first
sorry, I
mic
don't have that
was in
memorized.
June.
Okay.
Yeah. But I started coming out because Aaron
Q.
Blind Aaron Quillen.
Yep.
He started doing comedy, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's comedy here. And so January of 22. Where are we at now?
We're in 23.
Okay, so January 22, I was like, I have to stop frequenting the bars that I go to all the time because I just Smiley's.
Smiley's. You're a staple there. Yeah.
I used to work there.
Yeah.
I did Expo in the kitchen. And then a plate shattered in my hand and ripped my fingertip off. And so I had to get my fingertip reattached.
Ooh.
I was like, hey, this isn't beneficial for what I do for a living.
Yeah, no.
So I was like, I got to quit. And so I quit. And but you walk in there and everyone's like, shots. And so I was like really fucked up all the time. And so in January 21, I was like, I'm done drinking. So I went like sober for 3 months. It was amazing. The mental clarity that I had was fantastic. And I was like, I have to channel this into a new form of something. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to comedy. And so I hit off Coffee Underground a few times, and then the ones at Railside Studios.
You just observed, or you went on stage?
Yeah, I just observed.
Yep.
I observed for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like writing my set, and I'll never forget like the moment that I got my punchline. And I was walking on the Swamp Rabbit Trail, and I was like super interested in yeast rolls, just not mine. And I was like, fucking gold.
Yeah.
And I just I'm keeled over, hysterically laughing at myself on the Swamp Rabbit Trail like a psychopath. Yeah, and then I went to Mexico, and then I came back from Mexico, and I developed a golf ball size abscess on my neck. Yeah. And then they put me on antibiotics. The antibiotics sent me into anaphylactic shock. I spent 2 days at the hospital.
Oh, no.
And I was like, if I ever get out of here, I am spewing all of my trauma on strangers. And so that's what inspired me to start doing comedy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that that's the story.
It was a good time.
A lot of people have something happen
Yeah.
before that, like, is the final.
Yeah.
To
Most
get you
people
on
just wake up
stage.
and say, I'm special and I need a microphone.
Yeah.
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 So
That's crazy.
yeah, and I love it. It's something that you get to be creative at, and it's like so exhilarating.
Mm-hmm.
And like the feeling of like when you get off stage and your endorphins are just like,
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
it's like nothing I've ever experienced in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
So you just have to remember to have fun
Yeah.
because that always comes across.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, my first memory of you on stage, I think, was at Comedy Zone. I don't know if that was your
That was
first
my
mic.
first
That was your
show.
first
Yeah,
show?
'cause I only
then my
do-
memory's correct.
Go big or go home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remember watching you, and I remember thinking you were so comfortable and relaxed, and you were having fun.
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, it went great. I mean,
Yeah.
there was
some nerves.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like you were definitely less nervous than most people when that I've seen like in their first time.
Well, I host music bingo 3 times a month. So it's gotten me really comfortable like holding a crowd, keeping a crowd,
Right.
holding an audience. And,
And I
and
think
just-
maybe the yoga practice of being present.
yeah. All of
and-
it kind of like ties in.
And connecting with humans.
Yeah.
Like it's
I love humans.
It's not about, memorizing and reciting. It's about
Correct.
connecting with those people in
Yeah.
the room and giving to them.
Crowd work
So-
is not something I can do well.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be crowd work, but I mean like
Yeah.
looking them in the eye.
That's just
there's a
something that I
connection.
cannot do. I can't do crowd work.
Yeah.
Do you crowd work? No.
I mean, I think crowd work, so I don't know how to do it that well.
Yeah.
The only thing I do when I'm forced to, like on a host set, because a lot of times on a host set, they won't laugh right away because human beings aren't, even if you tell a great joke,
Yeah.
they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
They're not settled in yet.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to just, I kind of view it as like an interview sort of. If something funny comes out of it, great, but just ask questions.
I like what Brandon Rainwater does.
Yeah,
I like that he gets everybody to laugh.
Yeah.
He's just like, we're going to laugh right now.
Yeah, he like forces them.
I think that's one of the most brilliant things ever. Because like even in yoga, like, so the yoga I teach is yin yoga. And it's like, you can literally close your eyes and just do it on your back the whole time. So I'm like, stand up. We're going to shake it out. And like, we get real silly at the beginning of class, but that just gets you out of your head and gets you present.
Right.
And so I think what he does is very, it just gets people comfortable. It gets them out of their head of like, oh, and like my whole life, I've had this crazy ass laugh. Like I've always been made fun of my laugh. My sister and I just have batshit crazy laughs.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm a little self-conscious when I laugh because I'm like, oh, how is this going to be perceived? And like, it's so loud.
Yeah, you have a good laugh. You have a beautiful laugh. Don't ever quiet. Don't
crazy.
ever.
And so I think that just pulls people into the moment, makes them comfortable. So I think that's a really cool thing to do, like as a host set.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. To me, the funniest moments in your life are like when you're with friends, people you know. In a comedy show, it's impossible to be friends with everyone, but you can kind of simulate it by connecting with individual people in the host set. Like you ask them about their life, who they are, what they're doing. You like, they're part of this.
Absolutely.
Because this is an experience. The show doesn't happen without the audience. They are integral. So you need to like find a way to make it, where you're kind of all in this together. And then that's when those crowd work moments hit the hardest. It's like we're joking amongst.
But then they go too far and they're like, it's also my show.
Then they can go too far, right? And there has to be that
fine line.
You have to kind of control how the show's going to work, and
absolutely.
And they can't feel like they can talk at any moment for sure. But
I'm
partial to that. I don't know if all comics feel that way. There might be some that are like, no, this is a show. Like we do our jokes, and there's
I also think there has to be a level of like the crowd wants to be there too. You know what I mean? And like wants to participate, because sometimes it's like pulling teeth.
For sure.
And that can be tricky.
For sure. If the audience is in a bad mood collectively, those are the rough nights.
Yeah.
And it's
I asked one group, I was like, hey, did anything bring you joy in 2022? And this guy was like, he said, I don't know. I'll let you know when I think about it. And I'm like, no, seriously, this is the one time I'm asking you to participate. Like, any other time. This is it.
Yeah, this is your.
You can't think of one thing that brings you joy.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I bet you're fun at parties. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is there something like that?
Yeah, no. I dig it. It's so crazy, like how, I don't know, it just comes so fluid and so easy. That's what scares me. Is like, am I okay at doing this? Because 98% of the time it's all my friends that just show up to watch me do comedy, and I'm like, are they just like,
I know it.
Am I actually funny, or are they just being kind to me?
The insecurity amongst comics is a very common thing. I've watched. I have a recommendation, if you haven't seen it yet, is the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling on HBO.
Okay.
It's a Judd Apatow documentary, and Gary Shandling. I don't know if you know any. Do you know who that is? No. Comedian in the '90s. He had a show. He's a little before, like even our time is, I didn't know him at the time, but he was a very introspective person, very, on the surface, very charismatic, kind of handsome guy, had a lot of success, and very smart writer. But when he started doing stand-up, he was enamored with it, and because he felt like, and this is what the documentary goes through, is his personal diary of talking about, am I funny? I don't know if I'm funny. Like, I truly don't know. And he feels like this insecurity and this imposter syndrome is common amongst a lot of comics. And you wrestle with, is the reaction real?
Yeah.
But he committed himself to stand up after he got in a car accident. And he was writing for shows, and he wasn't getting a lot of satisfaction out of that in LA. And then he told his agent after the car accident, I want to do stand-up. And the agent was like, do you think you can make it as a stand-up? And he said, I don't know, but if I don't go now, I'll never find out who I really am. And so it was a spiritual journey for him.
Absolutely.
And I was just fascinated by that. He had a lot of childhood trauma too. But yeah. Interesting guy. He was seeking something.
The Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling.
It's a 2-part. The first, it's like I want to say 3 hours total. Maybe each part's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
The first part definitely for an open mic comic. If you want to watch that,
It's a good
and maybe you don't view stand up in a spiritual way. I'm
Yeah.
very deep when I think about stuff, or
So,
I
like,
try to be.
I feel kind of guilty because so many people are like, "Oh, do you know this comic? Do you know that comic? Do you know this?" I don't consume a lot of comedy.
Yeah, and that's okay.
I
You know.
think that what scares me the most is like subconsciously, I feel like I will source somebody or somebody's joke or something
Mm-hmm.
along the way, and then I'll like present that on stage and be like, "Oh, that's funny."
Yeah.
Like I watched Tomlinson.
Tomlinson?
She's coming here soon.
Yeah.
March 31st.
Yeah.
I watched her stand up one time and I was like, I have to turn this off. Like it's too similar to the
Sure.
comedy that I like to do. So I was
Sure.
like, oh shit. Like I watched her whole show on Netflix and I was like, I don't think I can watch comedy anymore.
Yeah.
And so I did. I kind of like took a break, but like one of my favorite like stand-ups of all time is Robert Williams on HBO.
Oh,
like,
Robin Williams.
way back in the day is one of
Yeah.
my favorites. Yeah, I don't consume like I'll go see comedy shows live.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like to see it perform live, but like I don't really watch a lot of television or consume a lot of comedy. Like I don't.
There's not. This is gonna sound. I don't know.
I just talked about my period for 2 hours.
Well, I didn't mean. I don't know. I don't mean this to sound like I'm being a entitled critic or something. There's not a lot of comedians that I really resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that I go out of my way to. I really want to watch
Yeah.
that, and I think that's kind of interesting about comedy. I think comedians maybe build like they grow with their fans that they fuck with you, like they,
Yeah.
and then somebody else who sees like Nate Bargatze, I see him and I didn't like grow up on him or watch a lot of his stuff as he was coming up, and I don't really get it.
Yeah.
And
That's Aaron's favorite.
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people
He's
love Nate
coming
Bargatze,
soon,
and he's a great comedian.
Yeah.
But I just don't,
Yeah.
But there's certain people, just like in life. I mean, there's certain people you resonate with, and
Yeah.
you're like, I feel like,
Absolutely.
whatever it is, the type of material, just where their perspective.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting, I listen to a lot of things about comedy more so than stand up
Yeah.
itself.
I've just been like diving into some Kill Tony.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting.
Yeah, I haven't dived into that. I haven't.
It's cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I listened to this one the other day and it was like, never say you're joking on stage. Like never be like, oh, that was just a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, oh, I'm just kidding. And I actually worked that into a set last week because I was like, no, clearly that's a joke. And I felt good about it. You know what I mean? But I think you just like...
There's no rules. Say what you
there's no
want.
rules. And like,
Say what you want.
Sweet Angel Baby got me a bunch of books for Christmas about comedy. And I was like...
Sweet Angel Baby?
Yeah.
Niles?
Niles.
Yeah, I thought that was sweet.
He bought me a bunch of like books for comedy.
So sweet.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
And it was like there's like, here's 10 rules for comedy. And one of them was like, consume as much comedy as you can. I'm like, that doesn't, but I think you got to pick and choose what you want and what feels right to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe would you be interested in things about comedy? Like not,
He got me 2 books. One's like How to Kill It Comedy and Mastering the Art of Stand-Up Comedy.
There's a book called Playfully Inappropriate that I enjoyed.
Playfully Inappropriate.
Yeah.
Dude, that whole Wednesday night, that dark set, I was like, oh my goodness. And
Very
all my
funny.
gay friends showed up and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
There's really dark gay jokes in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the theory of that is a Venn diagram of there's like safety on one and violation on the other.
And you got to find.
And where they overlap is the sweet spot for comedy. If there's too much violation, if you just say something horrible about
like the shock
the
value
Jews or something
aspect.
racial,
Yeah.
maybe there's an audience that doesn't mind that much violation, but in general, that's over the line. Don't go there. But there's also like, I have a dog. This guy is blue.
Yeah.
Complete safety, no violation. It's like, why are we? What? That's not funny.
Yeah.
It's like towing that
Yeah.
middle areas where the humor often lies.
All about the
And,
balance.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
those dark thoughts or those messed up thoughts that everybody has, but you're brave enough to voice. People are like, oh
I
shit!
know.
Oh my god!
I got
We just talked about the period cycle. Wow.
really for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I
No.
love it, man.
I think it's great.
It's fresh content for this show. We don't.
Yeah. Well, listen, anytime you need to talk about shedding uterine walls,
Yes, I am down.
I'll be your gal.
I'm down to learn. I want to grow. I want to.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important. I don't think, sex education teaches people anything except like, this is your balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
everybody giggles. And
then they're like, touch this boob. Does it have cancer in it? That's it. That is it.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to touch a boob. I just had to like do it in the shower myself. I'm like, oh, it feels great.
Yeah.
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 It's important.
It's good boob. Yeah.
How can you not like boobs? Boobs are great.
Boobs are amazing.
Boobs are great.
Boobs are
pretty something.
one of the great wonders of the world.
There is 8 of them now.
Huh?
7 wonders.
Oh, there's 8.
Boobs. Boobs make 8.
Went over my head. My bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I get it. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. Oh, but yeah.
So, yeah, we've been talking 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you have fun?
I had the best time. I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
Really?
Not
You
that
didn't
I
think
had a
it'd be
best
good?
time, but just like, one, it's cold as shit in here. It's so cold.
Is it?
It's-
It's 70.
It's freezing in here.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I
What
was
we
just
got?
like shaking, and I was like, hope this doesn't come across as nerves. And I was like, but I am a little nervous.
Oh, shit. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. We're good
You
now.
can turn it up.
I'm doing great.
Okay.
Did you have fun?
Yes, absolutely.
What was the best part for you?
Yeah, the period stuff,
Yeah.
I have to say. No, I'm just kidding. I liked hearing I liked hearing about your background because I didn't know how it all connected. I knew bits and pieces of that,
Oh.
but not how it
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a good time. Actually, the set that I like bombed at real hard a few weeks ago at Coffee Underground was about like my shining moment of getting into comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thought it was funny.
Yeah, you're like,
And like even Alexis
tell
was
us some jokes. We don't hear about your
Alexis
shining
was like,
moment.
but you got up there. And I was like, God damn it. And then Chris Wilson was like, you're still pretty. And I was like, this is how I know that it didn't go well.
Okay, for the record, Alexis and Chris, don't say shit like that.
They're
It's
just like,
fucking stupid.
but you
If-
got
if somebody bombs, which
just
I
fucking
bombed,
be honest.
yeah, I bombed last night on an embarrassing story.
Where did you do? What was last night?
We had that
Oh.
show.
How was that show?
So fun. So fun.
I wanted to go.
Yeah, let's talk. I'll talk about the show really quick. Like, it was the themes of each round were very fun.
Ooh.
Handicap comedy
I
was the
love it.
first round.
Okay.
And it wasn't making fun of people who are disabled, which is what I kind of thought when I heard that. It was each comic had a handicap, like you picked out of a
Wow.
bucket. So one of the handicap I got was I had to wear headphones, and they blasted music while I was trying to
The
tell my
whole
jokes
time
for 2 minutes.
This is amazing.
Yeah. One of the other handicaps was dodgeball. So the audience was given balls, and you had to throw balls
it.
at the comedian while they were telling their jokes.
I love it.
One was talk to the wall, and you had to like stand and do your set to a brick wall.
Hell yes.
And then wait a minute. What else was there? There was a Cards Against Humanity round where you picked a card and you had to try to make that funny. There was a roast round, so we wrote roast jokes for all the comics. That was very fun.
Did you like have them pre-written going into it?
Yeah, I wrote a bunch of that went really well.
What was your best roast joke?
I said this is kind of hard on Alexis, but I said Alexis is one of the funniest female comics in Greenville. She's also one of the only female comics in Greenville. Unlike a lot of female comics, she doesn't talk about her vagina to get laughs. Her vagina isn't relatable because nobody wants to go near it except Jacob Nolan.
God damn.
I'm sorry. If anybody... That's not true. Alexis has a very desirable vagina.
You're so silly.
It's... Yeah. People were pretty hard on Jacob, dude.
Desirable vagina.
Yeah, everybody's... It's the cradle of life, man. Vaginas are amazing. Yeah.
They're equally as terrifying as boobs.
I
I'm
re-
just kidding.
Yeah. I roasted Bill.
Okay.
Do you want to hear that one?
I would love to.
Uh,
I had to host Music Bingo last night, so I missed it. I hosted the 2nd and 4th Thursday.
very fun. That's practice for stage time, too.
It
I
is.
think.
Yeah, I do a lot of jokes. Also, anytime I like am waxing clients, I'm like, let me just test this out real quick. And they have no idea.
Yeah.
It's really great. I'm very grateful for my job.
Yeah,
See what lands, you see what doesn't.
for sure.
Okay,
What did I
Bill's
say
show.
about Bill? I said he worships Batman, and it makes sense that he idolizes a guy who wears blackface, runs around in tights, and has a closeted identity.
That's amazing. That's good. I'm gonna hide my Batman tattoo.
I love Batman. I love Bill too. Anyway, there were a lot of fun
Blackface.
ones.
Yeah. I'm hoping maybe he'll do another one. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to, like, my goal, I made some resolutions for 2023.
Mm-hmm.
It was to hit more mics, minimum 2 mics a week,
Mm-hmm.
or at least 2 anythings a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing very well at fulfilling this.
Excellent.
Yes, I'm very proud of myself. Eat 30 different plant-based foods.
Oh, you mentioned this one when we were talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just good.
You mentioned this on stage.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How's that?
It's going great. Absolutely. My gut health is great. I've been so I don't eat dairy
Uh-huh.
because it makes me break out.
Okay.
And so I'm recovering from the holidays and my skin
I gotcha.
vein. And it's also what I do for a living. And then my third resolution was to stop being friends with white women. Because we'll call you up at like 2 PM and be like, hey, I found this dog on the side of the road. Do you want it? And like, if I wanted a dog from the side of the road, I would have fucking picked it up myself.
Right.
And they're like, well, they're very violent with cats. Do you want it? It's covered in fleas. And I'm like, leave the fucking dog alone. You don't have
Yeah.
white women friends, do you?
Are we friends?
Do you want to be friends, David? We can be friends.
I have white women friends.
I think we're friends.
Yeah,
We're
for
friendly.
sure. Yeah.
I'm
Well, you're white as far as I know.
sitting in your house right now.
You're white as far as I know. Yeah. So I have white women friends.
Yeah,
Black
I'm
women
in
friends.
white face right now.
I love all women.
Oh, that's kind.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
last
fucking
question.
hot. Just
Is this did you get this place furnished
no.
or you purchased all of this and put it together?
I did. My aunt picked out the couch and the chair,
Wow.
but I picked out the bedroom stuff. I picked out that thing. Why?
Okay.
Do you
I was
like-
just curious.
Do you like it?
Look, you have Liar Liar right there.
What's that?
You have Liar Liar right there.
Yes, I have a DVD
You
collection.
ready to have a movie night? Let's go. I haven't
Yeah.
seen DVDs in a
Well,
minute.
often, if people are out and about downtown or going out in the town,
Yeah.
I like to invite people back here,
Mm.
and we'll put on like a movie at like 2 AM. Like we were watching Austin Powers.
It's a good one.
Oh my god,
Do I make you Randy?
dude!
Yeah.
Austin Powers is one of the most offensive movies.
It's
Dude,
terrible.
He's walking around in the opening scene of Spy Who Shagged Me, I
Butt
think.
naked.
Yeah, buck naked, and
Dude.
then like his wiener's getting covered up
By
strategically.
everything.
He's in an office.
And then
I was like, dude, you would be fired.
every movie they have that, the wiener reference. They're like, got a big old hot dog here.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a big old Richard.
Yeah.
Dick. Yeah.
Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like a giant.
I do love some Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a good one. Oh, well, Alexis is like my neighbor.
Okay.
And
yeah.
she's always like, yeah. And then we had all these people back over to my house. I'm like, why don't I ever get invited, Alexis? I'm right there. But no, seriously, I'm asleep at 10:30 every night. So
No, we're gonna invite you to things because I remember you said we're it's clicky.
this scene is very clicky,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
We'll work on that.
It's okay.
We need to work on
I
that.
like Sweet Gio's little message today. I was like, way to go, Gio.
I love Gio.
Yeah, he's a good guy. One of the first times I met Gio, we were at Sharky's, and we danced. He's an excellent dancer.
Yeah, he's an excellent singer too. I like his karaoke.
I love karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
I actually left the dark show, and on Wednesdays, my friend hosts karaoke in a restaurant.
Oh, okay. Wait, so you weren't in the picture?
I was in the picture.
Oh, you
Mhm.
came back?
Yeah. No, I left and
Oh, after that.
After that.
I see.
Mhm.
I see.
yeah, I think we karaoke till like 1:30 in the morning.
Karaoke is a very fun,
Gosh.
freeing, get over yourself, belt it out kind of
Yeah.
activity. I like
Have
it.
you ever done live band karaoke at Smiley's?
No.
It's so
That kind
hard.
of scares me.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I did it once and I was like, never again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no like safety net or like
Mm-mm.
feels like there's a little more expectation. He's got a full ensemble of
Whole ass band.
talented musicians behind you, and you are. I'm saying personally, I would
Yeah.
not be able to carry that type
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. Have you been to the one in Easley yet?
No.
Oh, it's really cool.
Another live band karaoke.
No,
Oh wait,
the Easley. It's right across
there
from that, like Amica,
Yeah, I
the
have
pizza
been there.
place.
I have been there.
It's a
we
cool
went
spot.
after we did a Christmas show,
Nice.
Jazz's show.
Yeah.
Me, Alexis, Jalen, and Jazz, and that was so fun
Yeah,
because the show went well, and then we were
Heck
just
yeah.
riding high. And,
that's amazing.
yeah.
Dude, there's nothing like once you get off stage. It's a great
Mhm.
feeling.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
For sure.
you ready to
I
wrap
think
this
so.
up? Yeah.
I'm ready to like go wash my face and
Yeah.
tuck myself into bed.
It's 10. Oh my gosh.
I
What a
have-
Friday night. We are
It's-
not losers at all. We podcast on Friday night.
Damn it.
No,
No,
thanks so
I was-
much for doing this and
Oh my
coming
gosh.
over and making time.
No,
really
I had
appreciate
the
it.
best time. Sorry I couldn't do it earlier, but this was it.
Is there anything you want to shout out? I'll put all your social media links, but I also asked to say it so I can listen back and put them on.
My social media links?
Yeah, if you want
Oh.
people to follow you.
Yeah, sure. Do I look into the camera?
Sure.
Are you going to edit this out? Can I plug my bingo?
Yes, absolutely. Plug
okay.
whatever you want.
Cool beans. I'm trying to think what other events do I do. I don't want to look in the camera.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Just look at me.
Okay. We're doing great.
We're just talking.
Okay. Okay. So social media, Batmanda_N.
Yeah, Batmanda.
Yeah,
That's right.
Batmanda. That's me.
Uh-huh.
And then I do host Music Bingo 3 times a month here in Greenville.
Where?
The second and fourth Thursday of every month at Birds Fly South.
Birds Fly South.
And then
Tight.
the fourth Tuesday of every month at Community Tap in TR.
Okay.
Yep, there's prizes for everything. I love Community Tap TR because they gave me the title of local comedian and heartthrob.
Tight.
I know, it's really hard to fit my head through doors these
Yes,
days. Yeah,
yes.
but I'm here for it. So
Mhm.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Is there any other socials besides? Do you have a Facebook, Twitter, YouTube channel, anything?
Nope, just the Insta.
Okay,
Straight flexing.
that makes it easy.
Yeah, and then if you follow along, you can know about all the fun events that I do and
Yep.
a lot of cool.
You put stuff on your stories so
cool
people can see
upcoming
like where you're at
things.
that week and everything.
That's it.
Word.
But yep, I'm on and popping all the time.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thanks for coming. Check
Thank you,
Amanda
David.
out.
Thank
A lot of
you.
you probably know her already, but if you don't follow her, she's a. What did you say? You're like a beam of light,
Oh man,
shining your light.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's all I ever want to be,
Absolutely.
and I just want to like blind people with happiness.
That's good. That's good. All right.
No, laughter's so powerful. Thank you so much, David.
Yep,
I'm
no
so
worries.
Grateful. Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries.
That's right. No worries. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you next time.